Welcome back, everyone, to episode 100 of Lesser Known Operators. I do appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for helping me make it this far. Our guest today, Connor Matthews, a United States Air Force combat controller, a two-time Contender Series participant, along with 3 times in the UFC. He is the owner of Mom's Basement MMA. He is currently studying to be a firefighter and is mentoring the future generation of Air Force Special Operations candidates at T3I. Busy guy. Hope you enjoy this conversation just as much as I did. As always, today's episode is brought to you by the Green Beret-owned business Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley. Precision Wellness Group helps you restore balance, unlock vitality, and fuel your momentum through bioidentical hormone therapy and evidence-based personalized telemedicine. Dr. Taylor Bosley is a board-certified physician, a U.S. Army veteran, and a former Green Beret. So he knows where you've been, where you want to go, and how to get you there. And he's an actual doctor that can prescribe you actual medicine. That's a bonus. So if TRT, HRT, hormone replacement therapy, testosterone replacement therapy, or peptides is something you've been thinking about for a while now, or just looking into, look no further than Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley in Southern Pines, North Carolina, in-person, walk-in, or telemedicine. Use code LKO20 on your initial consultation paperwork to save 20% on said consultation. Check out alphaeliteperformance.com to get your supplements for the gym. Use code LKO15 at checkout to save 15% on your order. I recommend the Pipe Hitter pre-workout. I do appreciate you guys. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, pass these episodes along. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Connor Matthews, welcome to
Pretty
Lesser
easy.
Known
Yeah, 2
Operators,
first
man.
names.
Thanks for coming on. Fuck yeah, I always get that, and I'll be halfway through speaking and go, oh man, I don't know how to say this person's last name, and we're only 3 seconds into the interview, so for some of them are pretty easy. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. And as I said, um, the show, my content, my page, everything I do, I'm the only one who works here, so it's heavily dictated on like my mood and
Yeah.
things. And I'm just like, I hit the gym and I'm really high, and then I come home and I get back to my content and I'm like, oh, this is some sad shit. And then I'm like, well, that's how I feel. That's what I got to put out. So we're not going to be held to that tonight. I'm
All right,
excited to
let's go.
talk to you and learn some more about some combat sports, man. Fuck yeah. I assume you were a wrestler when you're in high school then.
Actually, I wasn't. I was a hockey player growing up, and then I done martial arts my entire life, but I was originally a hockey player. So there's a little bit of fighting in there, there's a little bit of combat.
That's I think most of the reason people watch hockey to begin with, or that what draws them in. Oh, is that the only sport they can kick the shit out of each other and get away with
I
it?
know. I think you go in the box for 5 minutes and you hop back out on the ice. It's the best sport in the world. I love hockey, but I just wasn't good enough to make it in hockey, so I just stuck to the fighting.
How good were you?
At hockey,
Yeah.
I was good. I played juniors after high school. That was my original plan, is to go to college and go play hockey. But my senior year I got injured, and on my time I was like, I kind of missed all the tryouts for a full year, for a full cycle, so I could try out for, like, the next good junior teams that would be potentially you could get like drafted to go play D1 college hockey. And I kind of got sidetracked and started training MMA. Like I said, I was done. I did mixed martial arts, but just not like competitively. I took my first fight when I turned 18, and then that kind of sidetracked me completely. I got addicted to MMA, and I kind of threw the hockey thing out the window. My parents spent their entire life driving me around New England, from waking up at fucking 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, bringing me all over the place, putting me in prep schools, and always like spending all this money to go play hockey. And I just kind of threw that out the window and started training MMA because I got addicted to that.
Now that's a lot of pressure now. You've pulled away from the hockey and now you have to succeed at MMA. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I left this behind because I can be better at this. So you gotta be like, it's okay, mom and dad. I'm gonna be better this direction.
Well, originally they weren't really thrilled, to be honest, because, like, my whole plan was to go to college, play hockey, and then use hockey as a vehicle to get me into college. And if that doesn't work out, at least I got a degree and everything. So I just started working construction, here, in Boston, working on the roofs and stuff, and just fighting every chance I can. So I'd work all day, go to the gym, train all night, lived a pretty shitty schedule doing that. I did that for about a year and a half, 2 years after I graduated high school, and then I was just finally like, my parents were like, "You gotta figure out what you wanna do to your life," and I was like, "I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna be working construction every single day," and that's what kinda pushed me into looking into the military, and, since I was already in really good shape from hockey and then obviously, fighting and everything, that special operations, kinda, piqued my interest, you know what I mean? That movie, I don't know if you remember that movie that came out, Act of Valor? Was it that Navy SEAL, like, propaganda movie? I saw that shit and I was like, "Yo, this looks." But I wanna do that. I wanna do that stuff. So I actually originally wanted to try to go and, be a SEAL, so I was talking to a Navy recruiter, and, the Navy recruiter was kinda, like, pushing me around, like, "Oh, we'll sign you for this job, and you can cross-train to become a SEAL," and I was just like, "I don't trust that," you know what I mean? You know how recruiters are, and I was just like, "I don't know." They're like, "Yeah," he's just kinda, I think the recruiter himself had this thing like, "Yeah, you would never be able to make that, like, you have to be a special person to make be a Navy SEAL." So, I walked across the hall, talked to the Air Force guy, and the Air Force guy was just like selling me like all in. "Oh yeah, you should do this." So he's like, he has some corny thing he said. He's like, "Oh yeah, when the Navy SEALs get in trouble, they call us. We're their 911." You know what I mean? So I was like, so you wanted to make me a PJ. So I took my pass test, which is our first test you have to take to be, you're required to even be, get a contract for CCT and PJ. I blew that out of the water because I was already in really good shape from everything, and, I was actually, the guy who was administering the PT test was an old time combat controller, and, he goes, "Alright, what do you want, what job do you wanna do?" And I was just like, "I don't know, whatever's the best job, I have no idea," you know what I mean? Like, he's like, "Do you wanna save people or do you wanna kill people?" And I was like, "Well, I think I wanna kill people," and he's like, "Alright, I'm putting you as a combat controller." And so, that was it. I had 0 knowledge, no idea what the fuck a combat controller did. I knew they get to jump out of planes, go get dive certified, and, do all that cool stuff, but that's the only thing that really sold me in the whole thing and started my whole life, really.
For anybody listening at home, it's combat controller. You're It's exactly what it sounds like. You're the air traffic controller for the jets fly or the fast movers flying overhead. You're calling in air support. Pararescue is God, the hardest fucking pipeline in the entire fucking
Yeah,
world to get
it is.
into. And you're you go to every school and you are jumping in to save people. You're going after SEALs and Rangers and fucking everybody else when they get all fucked up. So complete opposite ends of the spectrum, but they all work together very well.
Yeah, it's cool. And so we both have like, long pipelines. My pipeline was about 2.5 years to complete, and PJs are around the same thing. Theirs is very front end heavy. Like the initial selection for BJ for NDOC, I think it's like 12 weeks, and they've changed everything now. But when
No,
I was going through,
all so
yeah,
different. Yeah.
it's crazy what I don't know what the hell they're doing these days, but they really smoked the guys up initially, and they put them in a lot of throw them in the pool, and they had started off with like 120 people or something like that, and they get down to like 5 or 6 by the end of NDOT. We're a little bit different. We kind of had a slower. We have a 10-day selection, so it's not as long. Where our school was really hard was our air traffic control school. That was like a 3 month long school for us where you're PTing every single day really hard, and then you're doing like full on air traffic control. So, you're in class 8 hours a day. And like I think on the civilian side, becoming an air traffic controller is like a college degree. You know what I mean? Like that's all it's like a 2 year school, and they really condensed it for us. So that's I think that was probably one of the most challenging parts of my school. And then we have a combat control school, and that I kind of equate that to being like a ranger school type of thing. You're doing a lot of land
Ooh,
navigation. You're out on the
ooh,
call.
don't piss
You
off
know
the
what I mean?
Rangers. I already pissed
Yeah,
off
I
the
know.
Rangers this morning with one of
Yeah,
my
I know. I don't
wheels.
want to piss off any rangers here, but
Well, not
was,
the
but that was like essentially. I mean, they have a couple. We go to airborne and go to Sierra, but those are kind of easy. They weren't really too challenging of schools. But I think the for the pipeline for us, the really hard schools were initially was combat control, combat air traffic control, and then you get past that and we go to dive school. So our dive school is it's a lot like I think uh Army dive. So did you
yeah.
go to you went to Army dive, correct?
Fuck no, I didn't get to do jack shit, man.
Oh,
I got hurt.
damn.
I got hurt on a dive team, so I got like the most unsatisfying way out. It's not like I drowned at dive school or anything like that, and I got medic or something medevaced out. No, I got hurt in a training exercise, which it's hard to describe to people because I tell it and I'm like, man, I remember it being really shitty. It probably was, but I need somebody to tell me the story again one of these days of how shitty it was. But no, no, I was supposed to go to MAC, which is Maritime Assessment Course, pre-dive that
Yeah.
following Monday, and I got hurt the week before, and then that was it.
Oh, that sucks.
I never got another school after that. That was it. That was my last. If I knew, then maybe I would have took some more
Yeah.
pictures. No, I was good, man. It's all good now. Everybody's got the stuff. I'm extremely strong and fit now, so I got that over everybody.
That's
So
all that matters. No, dive school for us was a kick in the dick. You had to go to pre-scuba first, and then, after pre-scuba, you go to dive I failed dive school the first time during our one man's test, which is like, they bring
we
you
were
down
just
underneath
talking
the
about that.
water. They got the
Yeah.
blackout mask, they thrash you around, and, I messed up on, like, some procedures or something. I wasn't blowing bubbles is one of the things. You have to continuously exhale so you don't get an air embolism in your lungs, and I was just holding my breath because they're thrashing you around, and then I failed it for that. I failed it for another thing. Had to go back through pre-scuba again, go back through it. So, I failed air traffic control school the first time. So I grinded my way through the pipeline.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
you got
physically,
your
uh,
beret. You got
I
your
got my
beret.
beret though. That's all that matters, right? Physically, I was pretty, I was pretty good at the tactics, pretty good at the shooting, pretty good at the land navigation. It was like, the academics for me have always kind of been like a challenge. And I was a jock in high school. I played sports, played hockey, fighting. You know what I mean? So, yeah, nobody told me you had to be smart too to be an operator. So I had to figure that stuff out as well. And
No, you can be strong. You can strong ranger your way out of anything, pretty much, man.
you can, just can't quit, baby. Just can't quit. So, um, but
Yeah,
it was
that is.
good. I really enjoy like. It's funny, like the pipeline was long and it sucked. I remember like it was really shitty going through it, but like looking back at it, like I think that was the most fun part of my military career over being on team, over deploying and all that stuff. I was like, I loved having that challenge every single day of waking up and like just, gutting it out and accomplishing all these little short goals. You know what I mean? You're just so focused and like the bonds you had with your teammates going through that was way better than, when you just actually get on team. You know what I mean? I think that was for me, the pipeline was the most fun part of my military career.
It was interesting, and it's different from your career because the schoolhouse, exactly what's gonna happen. It's not gonna deviate. You have this school in front of you, and you have to pass it to go to the next course or the next school or the next block of instruction, and it's in its simplicity, very easy. It's fucking difficult to pass all these things, not get in trouble, pass the schools or whatever. I don't know how we would do with dive school in our pipeline because that's once you get to a team and if you need it. But I mean, I wouldn't. I was not gonna pass dive school in any pipeline, so I was exactly where I needed to be. That's for fucking sure. Good for you guys. All
Yeah, it's crazy to me that they do that to you guys, that they will put you on a dive team without like, "Yeah, I'm not that great of a swimmer," you know what I mean, from the Midwest, and they're gonna put you luckily for me, I grew up surfing my whole life. I live on the coast down here in, like, right on the Rhode Island, Massachusetts border. So I grew up in the water as a lifeguard, so I was, in the water my entire life. So, like, if I didn't have that, I saw a lot of people, like, a lot of good dudes too, because for us, like we put our dive school like after we got our beret. People would like get through the entire initial part of the pipeline, you know what I mean? And then they send them to dive school and then they wouldn't make it through dive school and get kicked out of the pipeline. So it's like sucks, man. They spent all this time and money training a guy, and the guy spent years of his life, you know what I mean? And to make it to dive and then get kicked out. So I know they've switched the pipeline up a little bit, which that's something I think they should have done. Like the PJs, they put the water up front for them, and so they know who's not going to make it. So, that's good, but yeah, the water is the fucking equalizer, man. That was definitely the thing that got a lot of the guys going through the pipeline.
I swim 7 days a week, man. I'm in as good of swimming shape as I'm ever gonna get in without a professional teacher, somebody teaching me what to do. I can pass all the events. There is no way in hell I would ever pass one, man, ever. I'd never be able to pass that, ever.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. You fucking you figure it out when you're
No,
there.
that fucking window would close like that. We'd be out. If after two thrashings, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore.
It was a
Especially,
scary it was a scary test, man. Like, just it was, like, at the very daunting. You don't know how long it is, so you don't know how long you're gonna be down there, and it was just, like, blacked out mask, you're just getting thrashed around. It was definitely a, very daunting, scary test to do, and I had to go through another before after I failed, I had to go through another like 3 months before I was able to even take it again of just getting smoked in the water every single day. So, no, I learned a lot about myself, and I was able to take those failures that I had going through training, becoming a pipeline, and apply it to myself. Eventually when I fought MMA, fought in the UFC, and because for even for then, I had a lot of pivotal points where I lost fights that, really set me back and I had to come back from those. And I feel like those failures I had in the pipeline really helped me and set me up for those situations later on in life.
what weight class do you compete at?
I fight at 145. I walk around 170. So I was like 166. Yeah. Right now I was like 167 today. When I got the scale. But yeah, the cutting weight was a pretty shitty part of the fighting thing, but I had to do it. Even like I know it sounds like I was way heavier than while I was fighting. I was still a small guy compared to the guys I was fighting in the UFC. Everybody I fought was substantially bigger than me
Yeah,
in the UFC.
they've got it. They've what does Rogan say? Sanction cheating is the cutting weight.
It is. It makes no sense. It's dangerous, man. You dehydrate yourself to a point, right? You weigh in even though you got 24 hours to rehydrate and get yourself, I put on 20 pounds, but you're still not fully rehydrated, and
No,
as well, they say it all the time. How long does it take for you to rehydrate? It takes you like 3 days before you even like, you know what I mean? If you really want to hydrate correctly. So 24 hours after being on freaking death's door at 145 pounds and then stepping into the cage and fighting, and then you're getting punched in the head, which is terrible for you as concussions, right? And I think that was one of the I'm proud of everything I did in my fighting career, but like I know I'm not happy with the way my career actually went. I know what winning for the UFC. I'm an 0-3 in the UFC, which I wasn't really happy about. But the silver lining in the whole thing is that at least I'm not taking more damage in my head, and you know what I mean. Like getting those concussions over in the gym every single day. You know what I mean. And what's the risk to reward? I don't know if I would have made it to the top 10 or anything like that. And if I did make it to the top, how much damage and putting myself through all those years of getting hit in the head would I've done to even make it there? So it's something that I think about. But yeah, man, dude, it's stupid. This whole cutting weight thing. They need to figure something out about that.
I it blows my mind how much weight I used to cut when I was in high school. Oh, you got to get to the next lower because it's going to be easier when you get down there, and you had to lose 5 more pounds, and you'd cut weight, and you go, I feel terrible. And I
Yeah,
think about me now. I weigh 240 pounds. I would wrestle heavyweight if I were to go wrestle against high school. If I were to drop into class, because I ain't
yeah.
cutting down to 215. That ain't fucking happening in any world from 240. So I'd be in the heavyweight, and I mean, fuck, let's go, let's roll. Like I don't care. Like, but
That's
no,
awesome. You wrestle in high school?
I did, but I was good, but I should have been great. Like all the motivation that I had is when I put the uniform on, when I went into the military. That was missing in high school. I just I was interested and I was good, but I didn't try and get to the next level where I would have really gone undefeated and beat everybody. Like I think if I had the motivation I have now,
Mhm.
um, definitely I would have gone out of college and wrestled at a D1 school, but it just wasn't there. But so when I put the uniform on, that's I mean, I went right to where I needed to be pretty quickly. So whatever, it worked out.
It works out, like, and I say that too, like, I learned a lot, like I said, I learned a lot of stuff from my military career that I think that I played hockey, you know what I mean? I played competitive hockey and all that stuff. I just had a different mentality too as going through that. I was kinda going through the motions, but I learned a lot about myself about, even, like, I think my confidence as, like, a person when I was like, "Oh," I always compared myself to other people, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not that good," you know what I mean? And I think that, I learned how to, like, build that confidence, becoming a combat controller and like really competing every single day in and day out. And at the end of the day, when you make it to be like the last, 5 people that made it from your starting selection team, you know what I mean? To the 5 people saying, like, guys, man, if I would have had this mentality going back in when I played high school, I would have done way better. But you never know until you know. And that I think that's like high school. We set this limit of like, all right, if you're not this good by your senior year, that's it. It's like, dude, you're still just a little kid by your senior year. You have so much time to grow after your senior year of high school. People don't realize that, man. I feel like kids don't realize that. It's like, dude, you're still such a kid. Like, I'm still 20, I'm 33 now. And I still feel like I'm getting better in different aspects of martial arts that I didn't have. You know what I mean? That's not like you have so much more potential than what people think.
Oh, fuck yeah. I think I wrestled at mainly 152 and 160 in high school, and I
That's
weigh 80
crazy.
80 pounds more than my normal
How
wrestling
tall are
weight
you?
now. 5'11".
Yeah. That's so
Yeah,
crazy. You weigh 240 now?
yeah.
That is
Um,
insane. Almost 100 pounds.
yeah,
Yeah.
almost. So, it's like I didn't even become an adult until I was, 25. Like, I started filling out and getting bigger, so, yeah,
Yeah.
you're just a kid in high school, you don't know jack shit. You turn 21, it's amazing they let 21-year-olds drink 'cause, I was retarded at 21. Oh my god.
Yeah. 100%. I was retarded. So I turned 21 in basic training and I was
Oh
completely
my
retarded.
god. That's Did they bring you a brownie with a candle in it?
Oh no, I got nothing. I got nothing for that, but it was fine. I remember being upset about that, and I was like, "Oh man, turned 21 and basic." But don't worry. I got it in during my pipeline days, my military days of going out and having a good time. So
I mean, 2.5 years, yeah, some of the guys ours for the deltas was, oh god, yeah, 2.5, 3 years long. Some guys got fucked because they had one guy was a delta. He had language. The course was set up so language was the first phase, and then he went through the entire course, and by the time he got to graduation, language was the end phase. So he had 6 month blocks of language on each end,
that's
and he recycled the delta course. So he was there over 4 years
man,
before he
that's
went to his
crazy.
team. Yeah, he spoke Russian really well though. So
I bet he
that
did.
was a yeah. He
Holy
was just
shit.
goofing around for 6 months because he was so smart. He remembered it all, but they made him do it again anyways. But
That's pretty. I think that's sort of really impressive for you guys that you guys, speaking the languages and everything. I think that's something that's really cool that you guys had that we didn't have. What was your language?
Thai, which I don't know if you know
Nice.
this, completely useless. Completely
Is it?
useless. I've used it more in America to order food than I ever used it in the army. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that not really being too useful in any places that we deploy really. And I mean Indonesia, I guess they had to do some operations down there in Indo, I think, at some point in time. But like yeah,
Well,
I
we would
can
go to Thailand all the time, but everybody's, I never went and they spoke
yeah,
English. But
yeah.
I, I don't think they teach it anymore. I don't think it's on the list of languages that are taught at the language school anymore. So whatever. It was a good time while it lasted.
I could use it
I
honestly right now. I do Muay Thai all the time. I'm always in MMA gyms and they're always, saying Thai words and stuff. I could use to Thai and Portuguese. And such Brazilians around me all the time. Trying two
I
languages I wish
can't
I knew.
I can't help you in that regard either because the notes I would send you are in a different alphabet, so you wouldn't even be able to read them.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
I'd be scared.
So I can read Thai really well now. I just can't speak it very much anymore. So, but no, man.
That's fine.
Every pipeline's different. They got their specialties and specialities and whatever. Just some guys use their language all the time. Like my buddy, he's in group and he speaks his language fluently all the time, and he used it all the time. He got so good at it that he kept going up and using his language all the time. And I got hurt and I went to a support role, so I never really had to, do anything like that. And everywhere I went was Korea, and I didn't speak Korean, so I knew enough to get around in a taxi.
That's funny. That's
Yeah.
sweet. You guys go to Asia a lot while you're
Oh
in?
yeah. Well,
You
first groups. That's all of Asia and Eastern Russia. And then third is over in Africa ish. Mostly Africa. Fifth group's in the Middle East. 10th group's in Europe and Eastern Europe, and 19th and 20th group. Did I skip somebody? Oh, seventh group South America. They
7th
got
grade
locked
South
down
America,
there.
yeah.
Whew, they got a good gig.
I was deployed when I was deployed, I think I was with the, 10th group, the Colorado guys.
Yeah, there's 10th out of Fort Carson, and 110's out in Germany. So,
Yep, yep, those good dudes, though.
is that your combat rotations with them?
Yeah, so I had one, I was actually attached to I did a, as what global access is what they called it, and then, I was in Afghanistan, and I was at a bar room at first, I was just pushing out and doing, like, forward air refueling points and surveying airfields a lot, for the first half of my deployment, and then I got be able to I was actually just working at infill, exfil for some, in Afghanistan, and, I got invited to go out on the teams for 10 group while they were doing a big push to a mission, so I get to get out with them. But I wasn't even a JTAC at the time. I wasn't a certified JTAC. I was just going as like extra gun, kind of like hang, helping out the JTAC that was there, learning the roles, and so that was really cool for me. As I, for a guy who wasn't a JTAC, I got to get out on the teams with an ODA during Afghanistan in like 2017, 2018. So it's when Trump took office for the first time, and the ROEs were a lot different from prior to that when Obama was in and stuff. So they actually were like pushing out on a bunch of missions all over the country. So it was cool. I mean, I actually get to go out there and fire my weapon at least. You know what I mean? A lot of people get, don't even get the opportunity to do that. So I was very grateful that I could actually go do that. So, and but it was good. It was a good deployment. I got it. The good thing with me is I was able to go all over the country. You know what I mean? I surveyed different airfields or different FOBs all around the country. So I got to go see different points and you know what I mean in Afghanistan. So I only had like I think it was a 6 month rotation over there, and, no, it wasn't even 6. I think it was even like 5 months rotation over there. And, yeah, it was good. It was interesting. It was a lot of, it was, what I signed up to do, which was cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I just had. Do you know Steven Nesbitt?
Nesbitt, no, I don't know.
No. Okay. He might have been with the
He's
2-4.
2-4.
He was a pair. He might have
Yeah.
been with 2-4 at that time. He was a pararescueman, but I think he was there at that time as well. He did like 8 trips or something like that too. So he probably
The 2-4 guys
crossed.
have it the best. They do like they are like 2 month they do 2 month deployments instead of like longer deployments, and they rotate in and out pretty quickly. So yeah, that's a sick job. Those guys,
Yeah, you got to be geared up for that one. You got to be ready for that.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah, for
for
sure.
everybody listening at home, you're gonna have to Google the 2-4 because I ain't gonna tell you anything. No, that's cool, man. Why? So, the recruiter's one thing. Did you try? Did you see what all the branches had to say before you made your choice, or was the Air Force really calling your name?
So I didn't really do so my uncle actually was he was an Air Force guy, and he was like support for special operations Air Force has like PJs like back in the day. So he was used to tell me about how badass PJs were and stuff, as a kid. So that kind of had my interest in it. So I knew a little bit about that. But I just kind of for the army. I didn't really I didn't want to not make it in the army and get stuck in the army and get stuck somewhere because I knew how big the army was. Marine Corps, like same thing. I saw what that looks like. It looks like I talked to a lot of people and they said Marines kind of like quality of life isn't really that good. Um, so
Unless you ask the
my choice.
Marines. Unless you ask the Marines, they'll tell you
Yes,
it's
yes,
great.
yeah.
It's the best.
For what I saw. So my options were like either Navy or Air Force is what I looked at, and I just saw Air Force. Just the recruiter really sold me. Is what it really came down to. He just kind of like gave me that contract, and you see, the part of the pipeline was you definitely have a shot at getting into those. Going to jump and dive and all those things. I thought that looked interesting to me. So that's what really sold me on the whole thing, initially. Um, but looking back at it, if I would have done the whole thing over again, I think it would have went Army and tried to go Green Beret. I think I just liked the way they ran everything, the pipeline, and for us, we had to get attached, and you're always like kind of in like that support role as a combat controller. And you know what I mean? I'd want to be more, you know, on a team,
Lean
deploy with
lean
my
forward a
team,
little
and
bit more.
lean forward a little bit more kicking indoors. You know what I mean? I feel like that would have been what I would like to do more than, getting attached to be in the hip pocket of like the team sergeant and talking to on a radio the entire time.
That would have been the years for it too, because that would have been the same years that I went into basic and went through the pipeline and everything as well. So
Yeah,
didn't work out for me, but I was in the only no, not only was I in the right place for me, I was in the only place that I picked the right thing on the first selection because I know almost everything now about the pipe, generally because the pipelines change and things like that. But end state, like I was in the right place. My personality, uh, I was always meant to be a Green Beret, like,
yeah.
and I was meant to be an 18 Charlie. Like there's nowhere else. I haven't come across anybody describe any job to me that's more perfect than an 18
That's
Charlie is for
awesome.
me. So, and like I said, that shit doesn't end. I say this. I'm starting to notice more and more. If you don't want it to, it never ends. If you
Yeah,
want to disappear in the woods and not talk to anybody and not introduce yourself or be a veteran, you can do that
yeah.
and fade off into obscurity. But God, the shit
I love
never
that.
ends. You're part of the community forever if you want to be. So I like that part too. But
Yeah, I love it
uh,
too. I'm still working for the Air Force right now, so that's one thing that's really I work as a developer, so I help administer PT tests for candidates that are coming in the Northeast, and I do like mentoring and prep guys ready for the getting ready for the pipeline. So
are you
um
with One's Ready guys?
I know all the ones ready guys. I'm with T3I is the name of the company that I work for. But
Oh, okay.
I yeah, what I do know the ones ready. I know Aaron Love and I know Peaches was in all those guys. So I met them when I was out in Vegas for I did like a thing called MCon, was a military convention I spoke at for talking about my career, my military career and stuff like that. I met Aaron out there and he's a jiu-jitsu guy as well, so we have a lot in common. So yeah, those guys are awesome.
Yeah, well, I gotta, I wish you were closer administering PT tests today. I gotta, you know, I see these reels about the PT tests changing and different forces having PT tests. And I was
Yeah.
messaging this one guy today about some content, and I'm like, I'm gonna do them all, and then I'm gonna rate them and see who is actually hard. Because I am always looking
That's a
for
good
stuff
idea.
to do. And
I would like to see that. That's actually very I have no idea. Do you know what the, entry is for, Army right now? For SF?
no, I have
No.
no idea. I don't even know what the PT test is now for the Army.
Yeah.
Somebody put something up about a sled drag carry. I'm like, "What the fuck is this?"
Well, I'll tell
Um,
you, man, for us, I mean, yeah, I hate to say it, but they are definitely lowering the standard over the years for sure. Um, we have push-ups is I think it's only 40 push-ups right now. Sit-ups is 50. Pull-ups is 8, and then you have to do a mile and a half run, which is uh 10 minutes and 20 seconds for the mile and a half run, which is was actually kind of fast, I would say, you know what I mean, comparatively to everything else. That's moving for I would say and then we have to do a two underwaters, 25-meter underwaters. Um Freestyle back, then you gotta do a 500-meter swim. So everything's kinda, like, right after each other,
ooh, what's the 500
besides
meter
the
swim?
what's that?
What's the 500-meter swim cutoff?
The 500 meters, so it's all, I believe they just moved down the standard actually. So it was 15 minutes, which when I was going through was like 12
Oh,
minutes. But now I think they're moving it back down to 12 minutes. I'm not sure if that is going through right now, has officially gone through, but I heard they're moving it back down to 12 minutes. So, which is very slow. You know what I mean? That's a pretty slow, but a lot of people just can't swim. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. Like these standards are really low now for the past test, but people will get sent down there, and we start off with a whole bunch of freaking people. But a lot of them, you know what I mean, right away, like even because they even though that's the standard, you have to far exceed the standard to even have a chance down there. You know what I mean? To even like be successful at all. So yeah, it starts off. I know for us, like we started off our entry would be at that pass test I just told you, and then by the end of it, you have to do like a 3 mile run with the same pace, and then you have to do a 1,500-meter swim. You know what I mean? And then you have to do like your push ups and pull ups and sit ups all go up substantially. So if you weren't already blowing that thing out of the water, you were just gonna fade out of the initial part of the pipeline real fast.
I do breaststroke. I just I just don't like irritating my shoulder, and I for some reason, man, on freestyle, no matter
Yeah.
what I do, no matter how hard I try, I get water in my ears, in my nose,
Um,
somehow in my eyes with glasses. I'll breathe in water in. I'm breathing water in my nose and my mouth and shit. I go, fuck this. I'm just gonna do breaststroke. So I do breaststroke. I can do 500 meters in like 9 minutes, 9.5 minutes, maybe.
yep. That's good.
But I'm like a brick in the fucking water, man. I'm fuck. I sink. I went up to the lifeguard yesterday, and I went, hey, just honestly, if I pass out in the deep end here, are you getting me out? And he looks at me, and he kind of looks at the deep end, and he goes, well, I could drag you up the hill, and get you out. And I went, what about that 90-pound girl that works here? And he goes, yeah, don't pass out when she's here because you're not coming out of the water. I was like, all right. I was like, "Do they
Noted.
train you? Do they train you on how to get me out?" And they go, "Yeah, they teach us that theory, but they ain't getting you out." I went, "All right,
No,
fair enough."
no, they're a big dude. It'd be hard for a little girl, a little high school girl to pull you out of the water.
I was
You know
doing
what I mean?
25s. I was doing subsurface 25s, and I got to the end, and I come up and
Yeah.
look. I was like, "They ain't fucking getting me out of here. There ain't no way they're getting me out of here." So I rethunk my plan for training. So,
Yeah, you gotta
but
be careful when you do those. You gotta be with somebody who knows what they're doing with the under when you're training underwaters, which I think honestly are a really, really good tool for like cardio in general is underwaters. Because like I took I did the when I was in the UFC, I they do like a not a PT test, but they do like all this testing on you. They take your VO2 max. They do like your deadlift, your squats. You do like a whole like combine day thing at the UFC PI, and I broke the record for VO2 max for the UFC, which is like crazy because I was like fast runner in my team going through the training. You know what I mean? I was always one of the top guys, but I wasn't like a there's guys faster than me. You know what I mean? They're definitely. So I never like I thought I've always had pretty good cardio, but I think that although underwater training really helped me out with my VO2 max and being able to like stay calm in those stressful situations and all that. And I feel like I just applied that like mentality wise while I was taking the PT test. Like as you get tired, so the VO2 max test, have you ever done one of those before?
no, it's a max effort. But the guys that have a high threshold to pain too, they can
Exactly.
work through
You
that
can work
lack.
through it 100%. Yeah, so, like, you go up by 5 RPMs every minute, and you just keep you see how far you can max out. You can keep sustain a certain and they take your, obviously your and I was able to do that, but it just feels like you're, doing it underwater. You know what I mean? You feel like you just start losing that feeling of oxygen, you know what I mean? And I was able to really, I blew that thing out of the water, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." So I didn't expect that, but,
Fuck,
yeah,
bro.
I
I
think
get
that
I get
underwater training, it really is good for you.
I
People are
get
sleeping on it.
1, 2, on 3 swipes, I'm panicking already, and I'm like, "Oh,
Yep.
good. We only have 30 meters, 35 meters to go." Yeah.
You got a lot of muscle. You got a lot of you have the same size heart as me, and not and a lot of muscle, so your body's gonna be freaking starving of oxygen real fast.
Yeah, I hit that wall and turn, and it's, because they teach you, and then till you moving, I am going like this the entire way back, and I'm like, I probably go down in 25 seconds or so, and I'm back in 15. Like, I'm just hauling ass.
There's a couple of events that are good for being if you're dense, if you're negatively buoyant. If you're doing like your bobs, it's good to be desync because you can just go right down.
Oh,
You're
forever.
coming
Yep.
fast. Um, Buddy breathing would have sucked with you for you and your partner because you would have been taking both of you guys down. That would have sucked for you. Um, Tank treads would have been awful for you in the pipeline. Just treading water in general would have sucked, but yeah, underwaters though, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Those are pretty good. You can kind of cruise across the bottom of the pool pretty quick. It's kind of good to be dense. It's actually some people that are buoyant actually have really hard trouble because they just float up every single time and they just can't keep themselves down. They're fighting to keep themselves down. And I never had that problem though. I always sunk like a rock as well.
I uh I I have this irrational fear in my head of, now that I'm doing, we have lesser known operators, and I do like brag on my fitness, right? And I keep this one line in my head at all times when I'm training. It's like, what if someday some of the schoolhouse goes, hey, Nick, he's always saying he's ready for dive school. Let's bring some civilians down to dive school and bring them down and have them shoot some content, right? And bring them in. It could happen in the future someday. They could be like, let's get some of these guys down here and fucking shut them up and shit, right? So that's why I'm always like, I'll pass the events. I ain't passing one, man, but if the schoolhouse calls, if they
Keep
call
it
me
in the
on
back
Friday,
pocket. You're
if they
ready to
call me on
go.
Friday, I will be ready to go to dive school on Monday. I'm not going to pass, but I will go and I will be confident in going. So that's how I train.
I like that. I love that. Hopefully this podcast blows up big and that happens because that'd be pretty sweet. I wouldn't mind doing that too, just to see where I'm at. I always think about that too. Like I want to know if I had to go back through the pipeline day one, right? And or if I want to go through a different pipeline, as because you know what I mean. Because everybody's always competitive with like who has the harder pipeline and all this stuff like that. So I always like I want to go see. I just want to know, can I make it through that pipeline? I made it through this pipeline. Can I make it through that one? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's something I've always wanted to do. Like I want to go through buds. That's one of the things I don't want to be a Navy SEAL, but I want to go through buds just to see if I can make it. Make it.
You might, yeah, yeah. I mean, Hell Week looks terrible.
It looks
I
terrible.
I'm not confident on any other pipeline. Ranger, we have the RASP 2 weeks. We've got, yeah. I'm gonna stay in the Army. I ain't
Yeah,
going anywhere else. That's all.
yeah.
Now you get me
He's
a joke with the recruiter. I go, hey man, can you get me a fresh social security number? And I'll go run it again. Let's go do it back. I'll do it again. And they go, nope, that's fraud. We still can't do that. It's like, okay, well, let me know when you can. But I think about it all the time, man. I was like, man, I could do it now. I don't know about the recovery. That's one thing I wanted to ask you, man.
recovered.
So I went out to Colorado Springs for a funeral over the weekend. And then on
Sorry
Saturday,
to hear that, man. Sorry to hear.
that's all right. It happens, but you got to show up. So, um, I went out with, the team sergeant and the sergeant major afterwards, and we did a workout all day Saturday, pretty much all day Saturday. And I went a little too hard, and I am still hurting. And I'm like, God, that's the only part of my like, oof, going through some of those things now and recovering from. Like, man, we just seem to bounce back so easily in our
Bro,
20s. But
when I was going through the pipeline, we would be sleep deprived basically during the week. You know what I mean? Doing night missions, like waking you up early, fucking doing mission plan and all that bullshit all week. And then you go home on the weekends out of the field. I'd go blackout Friday, Saturday night, sleep for like 3 hours on Sunday, go back to the field and just be fine, operating completely fine. I'm like, there's no way that I do something now. I'm like, I need to recover. Like, especially as I was fighting fighting in the UFC and stuff like that. I mean, dude, I had to like prioritize. My life was boring outside of training and fighting because like I just wasn't recovering in the way you say it. So I think that's the thing. I think that I would be able to survive like the mentally a lot of the stuff, but like I don't know if my body would be able to up withheld all the freaking over a couple weeks. I think it's just start breaking down and getting hurt because I just need the recovery now. I just don't bounce back like I used to.
well, it's also, you like your nice warm bed. You got your schedule, you got your food, you got your meal
Yep.
prep, and
I
you're
say
like,
that all the
oh,
time.
the more American
It's
you get, the more tucked in your bed and warm in the morning. You're like, I ain't fucking getting out there, to do that. But I do think, and we could just flip the switch and go,
yeah,
I'm just going to push it
100%.
until it breaks. And if nothing
100%.
breaks, then you'll be fine. I'm sore or
100%.
whatnot. But, um, yeah, but these guys, I did the same thing. If we would train and we would complete the class, whatever it was. And then the moment we were released, somehow you were fucking hammered until you showed back up to formation, however many days later it was. And then you're just like, oh yeah, guys. And then you'd like wring the alcohol out of your system and you go, all right, what are we doing today? Oh, small unit tactics. All right. I hope I got the packing list. Let's go. It's fucking,
Dude, it was crazy, man. I was like, "How the hell did I do that, man?" It was wild, man, and yeah, but you're right, though. I say that, like, just, like, the comparing comparing my time as going through the pipeline, all the hard stuff I did then to being a fighter. Like being a fighter was, yeah, it was a grind. It was hard because you're pushing yourself in hard wrestling practices. You're pushing yourself in like a regimented training. But I knew everything was planned out. No matter what it was, I knew exactly what I was going to do all week. And if I think that compared to the military, is like, dude, sometimes you're sleeping on the floor. Sometimes you don't know what's coming next. You're like you never knew what was going to be the next day for us in some of our trainings. And I feel like that was a big difference that kind of gave me my mental strength so I could apply that to fighting. Because a lot of fighters, they didn't have anything like that to compare it to. So fighting is the hardest thing they did. And for me, I don't think it was the hardest thing I did. So I think that was one thing that gave me a little mental edge on everybody getting ready for MMA fights and just training and pipelines in general. Sorry,
Because
for fight camps in general.
no, yeah. So you did 3 fights in the UFC. So you did 3 camps for those.
So yeah, I fought. I mean, I'm as a pro, I am 7-4. So I had I had a career before I got to the UFC. So I got out in 2019. I got out 2019. Um, I moved back home to Boston from I was stationed out in Washington State at JBLM, Joint Base Lewis McCord, and
Yeah, me
I
too.
came back. What's that?
Me too. Yeah,
You're out there as well. Yeah. So
yeah.
um,
First group's Lewis.
first
Yeah,
group is right there. Yes, yes, that's right. So, yeah, so we're probably there around the same time, and um,
we were. I was out end of 18, and you said you got
yep,
out 19, which
yep,
coincidentally, nobody knew COVID was coming. 2019, great year to get out of the military.
perfect,
Great year.
perfect
Yeah.
year to get out, dude. Yeah, and I say it kind of helped me out with my fighting career because it gave me like I made this decision in 2018 that I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to fighting. You know what I mean? I took a couple years off while I was in the military. I would train, but I wasn't like you know what I mean, like full on MMA fighter. And I started training. I took a couple amateur fights while I was in. Still, my squadron was kind of cool. Like I told him, I was, hey, I'm getting out. He's like, they're like, all right. And I was like, hey, can I take a couple fights while I'm on my way out? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. So they let me fight. Took a couple amateur fights. Won those. And then as soon as I got out, I moved back to Boston. Back then, like there's a couple big MMA fighters in Boston that were like starting to take off, like Calvin Cater, Rob Font, and all these other big UFC fighters. And I kind of came back there, hopped into their training with all those guys and started sparring and fighting with those high level UFC fighters. And took my first took my first professional MMA fight and knocked a kid out in 7 seconds. Basically, long story short, is I finished 5 guys really quick. Um, all like first minute of the round, whatever, or first round knockouts and stuff. And I got invited to go on Dana White's Contender Series. Um, Went on that show. That between that whole span, that took like 3 or 4 years. So I had COVID, and during COVID, all the fights, they weren't putting fights unless they were like weird fights in like tents with like no fans or anything like that. But what it did, it allowed me a little bit of time to catch up to skills. You know what I mean? Because since there was no fights going on, instead of I could worry about just getting ready for fights, I was just working on my skills. And all the gyms closed down. That's another thing that kind of sucked. All the gyms closed down. But my aunt, she owns this big farm, and on the farm she has owns a wedding venue, and she couldn't have any weddings, so we put a whole bunch of jujitsu mats there, and basically, so I was living on this farm, and that like became the literally became like the biggest gym in New England while during COVID because all the gyms are closed. Nobody wanted to get in trouble by letting people train in their gym, so everybody would just come. All these different gyms would just come train at the farm during the day, and it was sick. We even had like USADA, who was like the drug testers for like UFC fighters, came to the farm to come like test fighters that were getting ready for UFC fights during COVID. It was a really good time. Basically, every day I just wake up, get those stimulus checks from the government, and we would just train and on the farm, and it was like that was probably one of the best times. But it was really good for me because it like gave me this time just to really focus on getting better. I think I only took one fight that year, you know, world came back together, fought a couple more years. I had my first contender series fight in 2022. Um, so I fought this kid, Francis Marshall. Francis Marshall was like a really good wrestler. He has hands too. From New Jersey. New Jersey has really good wrestling, and
Yeah.
I ended up losing. We had a war. It was a really good fight. We had like, 3-round absolute my face got fucking destroyed. Really good fight. Dana White, he was even like, he's like, this could be on the prelim on any UFC card, you know what I mean? Like praise does, but at the end of the day, I didn't get my contract. So that was kind of like, you know, was building up to this point of like trying to make it to the UFC, and that was my shot to get on the UFC, and I didn't get it. So I was kind of like, that sucked. I was like, what am I going to do now? I, just kept on, went back to training, went to the gym. I got really lucky that there's a show called Dana White's Looking for a Fight, and basically he travels around the country, and you can watch this on YouTube. And he just goes, he picks a city, and he'll go to like a local show, and he'll watch a good local show, and see pick a couple guys, to either come to the contender series or sign guys to go right into the UFC if they put on a good performance. So I was the main event for that. It was at Encore in Boston, which is like the casino in Boston. I had a really good performance in front of Dana White. He invited me to go back on the contender series for a second time. So I trained for that. I fought this kid on the contender series the second time. This kid, Jaides Ferreras. He was 10-0. He was fighting out of this gym called the Fighting Nerds down in Brazil, which is like his kid was like a stud. He was like 6'3", at 145. He was like 6'3", giant, like all like finished first round knockouts. But I went in there, I got it done. It was a 3-round war. I kept on taking him down. Fairly was just like made it dirty, but I got the win. Um, and got my UFC contract off that. And so that was it, man. I had 3 fights. My first fight in the UFC was really good. It was a fight down in New Jersey as well. Fought in like an actual big arena on Boardwalk. And so that was pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like going from the military to actually fighting in front of like 30, 40,000 people in an arena. You know what I mean? I had a 3-round war in that one as well. It was a really good fight. I ended up getting knocked out in the 3rd round against a pretty good fighter, Dennis Pajuka. And then my 2 other fights after that didn't really go too well. It was hard to bounce back off that loss after that for me. My second one after that, I got knee surgery, so I had to come back from knee surgery in 6 months and fight, and I just wasn't the same. Ended up getting knocked out in that fight, and then the UFC kind of screwed me. They're like, all right, my last fight in the UFC, they're like, all right, you have 2 weeks. He's like, you can fight this kid, or if you don't fight him, we're gonna cut you. So I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna fight him. So I didn't run no camp at all. I just kind of took the fight, went in there, and obviously it didn't go that well for me. So yeah, it sucked. My UFC career didn't go the way I wanted to, but I'm still like proud of what I was able to accomplish from 30 years old. You know what I mean? After if a combat control, military special operations career. So it's good. And so I definitely enjoyed all the stuff I did.
You know, and you got the right attitude there, and I say this to other people, you gotta be proud of what you got to do because it could have been a whole lot less,
Yeah,
you know?
I
But that
100%.
at the farm there, you're describing that, I'll bet that was a lot of fun. You guys probably didn't think it was at the time because you 'cause you're worried about, the government coming in and, we gotta get our practices in and all this other stuff, but that
Yep.
was probably a blast, man. That sounds fucking fun, getting all the boys together and hiding out and getting the workouts in.
Dude, it was so cool. Like looking back at it, it was so cool, and it was cool because of like it because every gyms in like local areas have these little rivals, right? You know what I mean? Because this gym, these guys train here, these guys train here, and they compete against each other in local fights and stuff like. But this is like that one time where like people were they wanted to train so bad there was no rules. Guys from all over the place were coming and just mixing and training with each other, and yeah, dude, I remember that. Like we couldn't post it online or anything like that. So it had to be like by word of mouth. But like, good guys were showing up, and it was really cool. Guys were literally I had like 3 guys. This is before I was in the UFC. I had like a couple guys that were like training for their UFC fights at the farm. Like this is where they were getting their work at to get ready for a UFC fight. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Fucking never gonna happen again, That's so
No.
cool. Yeah.
A
Can't
moment a
duplicate
moment in
that shit.
time right there. A moment in time.
No, that's that's badass. You'll probably you get back together with some of those guys in like 20 years and go, God, remember we were at the farm. That was fucking cool.
Well, that's what kinda sparked me to, start I have my own gym right now,
What's
and,
the name of your
that's what
gym?
So it's called Mom's Basement MMA, and I'll tell you the whole story, the whole story on how that happened. So I after COVID, I set up these mats and people were coming to train. I was like, well, like I think maybe like I could probably do this. You know what I mean? Like if I got people training here, like what, like what's the difference when things start up? So, World started coming out. There's a CrossFit gym that they're like, hey, they were doing really bad after the pandemic because they lost a lot of their members and they couldn't get people back in the door. So they're like had a space. They're like, hey, do you want to put your gym here? Maybe like I think they were thinking like, hey, he can get his guys in there. Maybe some of those guys will start working out of my gym. You know what I mean? So they gave me a really good deal. So I put my mats there. I was running business there for a while. I had kids classes going. A lot of fighters coming in. This is like I got into the contender series around this time, and so, that was going great. And then they're like, hey, rent's too expensive here. We don't know if we can make it. We're gonna move to a new spot. And I was like, all right, let's move to the new spot. And then like right before they're about to move, they like decided like, hey, we don't want to do this anymore. It's just too much. The guy's actually a military guy, and he's had a whole military career going as well. So I think he just wanted to focus on that. And he's just without the hassle of running the gym. So I was kind of screwed. It's like shit. I have people paying members. I have all this stuff. So my parents were like, "Hey, you can put for now before you find a new space, and like everything up here in Boston to find like a gym space is really expensive. So if I was gonna try to do that, run a business and actually make money on it, as like I wouldn't have any money to survive. So my parents were like, hey, you can put the mats in the basement for the meantime until you can find a spot. So that happened in like 2022, and it's 2025, and my gym is still down in their basement, but it's been
It's never
awesome.
leaving. It's never
It's
leaving.
never I love the setup, and I really do. The gym is sweet. I got a full cage down there. I got, like, a little, like, area where people, like, sit, watch the TV. We got plenty of mat space. I mean, dude, I'm running classes down there with, like, 20 people, you know what I mean? It's like, it's been super successful. My girlfriend's helps me out teaching the classes. We got kids classes, like, going as well, and, it's been really, really cool, man. I love it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I never like even right now I'm becoming a firefighter, so that's my other job. So I'm going through the firefighter academy.
Get
And
busy,
so
man.
that's
Jesus.
that's what I do all day. You know what I mean? I'm in the fire academy. I'm in school from like 7 a.m. to 3 or 4 o'clock, and then I got to run to my gym. Then I got to run my gym till like 8 o'clock at night, and then you know what I mean. So like I'm burning the wick at both ends, but like I said, I mean, we did that shit when I was in the military, but like I'm doing it for things that I'm passionate about. Like yeah, I like everything I do all day. So I mean, it's just it's easy to work hard in something that you love to do. So I've been loving it.
No matter what you do, if you want to be the best at anything, if you want, like me, like I don't know what I'm doing all day long. Like I make content, like, and I was like, I don't think I ever said this phrase, like, oh, it can't be that hard because everything is hard if you want to be good at it. But God, I've never worked so hard and not actually worked. You know, like, I,
Yeah,
like I
I
make
know
posts.
exactly what you're saying.
I make posts and I make videos and I do this. And the easy part is going to work out. You know, that's the easiest part is going to lift these awfully heavy weights and shit. Like that's the fun, easy part. The rest is, oh, and then, getting, you got people you got to teach and things like that. And you got to be motivated and do that. It's like totally
Yeah.
different set of things. So to be good at anything is difficult. And,
You gotta bring the energy to the gym every single day. You know what I mean? Like you gotta bring that, especially teaching and coaching. You can't be like, oh, you gotta love what you're doing. You gotta be, But it's easy to do for me. But like, I agree with you though. Like even though I love what I do, but I'm still fucking working, dude. I'm like some days I'm just like so fucking tired. Like I'll come home for lunch and I'm just like I got 20 minutes, pass out, wake up, go back to work. Like I need those little naps to even be able to do it, dude. It's definitely been a grind.
when I, um, when I was on the road trip, because I started out, we did the 31 days, the dog and I say we, it was me and a dog, and he didn't help one fucking bit. But we,
Passenger
I,
princess right there.
oh, he was he kept me, sane from going insane because I'm in the truck, like yelling at myself, like, what the fuck are we doing out here? Where are we? Like, well, we gotta go 400 miles today. Fuck, fuck, fuck. And then he'd come over and be like, calm down, dude. But, um, I would get so tired, and then I'd sit down and like, "Oh, I gotta go to bed." And like, "Oh, good. I only have 3 hours of work to do before I can go to bed. I gotta get my posts up, and I gotta get all my shit done for tomorrow," and things like that. Like, it don't matter. It don't matter if you're doing something for you, how difficult
Yeah,
it is. You're just gonna do it because 'cause you're like, "I don't wanna do the alternative,"
that
right?
exactly, exactly.
I don't care how hard it is and things like that. So I just need to get back into that rhythm right now of things and figure out some other stuff. But you know, you're teaching the classes, so you can you can clear up a mystery for me that I have
Yeah.
no idea. What, because I see this on other people's Instagram as well, and I figured I'd get the answer eventually. What does red, red, black, red mean, or any combination that I see on people's martial arts pages? What does that mean?
That's just their black belt. So you see, like the little they'll have like black, black, red, red. Like you talking about with
Yeah,
the little blocks.
yours says you have a little red box, a little red box, a black box, and a red box. What does that mean?
I think at my brown box is I think maybe it's, let me see it. Oh, yeah, now that's brown. Are you colorblind?
Yeah, that's I
Because you're
didn't tell you that.
colorblind.
I didn't tell you that story, actually. I didn't tell you I didn't.
There's well, A, you're colorblind. B, those are brown, and C, those are
No,
my. That's just showing my rank, my jujitsu rank. So anybody that has their rank will put their rank, like you know what I mean. Generally,
those
it's in
aren't
that.
brown, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway, so my guests have heard this story a few times. The only reason, I had to go to the regular army is because I failed the colorblind test at MEPS, the dot test. You're supposed to score like 4 out of 6. I scored 2
Yeah.
out of 6.
Oh,
So
so
I had to take whatever they would give me, and I took field artillery. So here we are,
there you
a
are.
dual MOS,
Which
Green
is a hard
Beret.
job, isn't it? Field artillery is a pretty.
No,
No, it's not
no,
hard.
not the one I went to. The one I went to
Oh,
was a desk job, and then I
oh,
went to even further a desk job, and then I didn't even get to do that one. I got to go and work in S2, which is like nothing even. I can honestly say all of the training the Army put me through, I did none of it in actuality, none of it. Everything they taught me how to do, I never did, not one time.
that's so funny.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, the Army
Um,
spent millions of dollars teaching me how to do stuff. I did none of it.
you
No.
work on like 777s?
No, so we were multiple launch rocket systems.
Okay.
I was fire direction for multiple launch rocket systems, but I didn't go to a line company. I went to battalion staff. And then
All right.
if you're good at PT and you're smart, you don't work in FDC. You like work in a different section. So I went to S2, and so I just sat at a desk and did nothing
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
unfortunate, but
But that's funny. Oh, I was looking at those. I was like, "What the fuck is red, red?"
that's
And
hilarious.
you're like, they're brown. Okay, fucking. Now, that's funny. You got that right away. Are you colorblind? I'm like, oh no, am I? Yeah, I am. Okay, so you're a brown belt or you're a black belt?
I'm a brown belt right now. Yep.
Oh,
So I
okay.
just got my brown belt. So I didn't. I've been even though I've been doing jujitsu and training since freaking 2008. I think is when I started. But I wasn't doing gi jujitsu, which is like a whole different thing. You know what I mean? So I've been kind of focusing on that ever since I stopped fighting because you know, for MMA, you don't really need to be good at gi. It's a totally different game. You have like you have the uniform on. You can choke people out with the collar, and it's just a different game. So I did like MMA, no gi jiu-jitsu, and wrestling is what I did mostly for MMA. So I've been really focusing on that for the last 4 or 5 years, and now I'm kind of coming back and just working on my jiu-jitsu and trying to get my black belt because owning a gym, having a black belt helps out a lot because you can start actually ranking people up in your gym underneath you. And that's kinda like my next goal is to do that.
Okay. What's the most popular combat sport?
I
Uh,
would say right now, jujitsu is the most popular.
Gi or
So
no
there's
gi?
I would say no-gi is actually the most popular right now. It's really blowing up. Guys like Gordon Ryan, or he's like like the world's best jujitsu guy right now. They have like these big, or Craig Jones. They have these big events down in like Texas, and the guys are actually starting to make money just doing jujitsu. UFC just launched their own little UFC BJJ league. So yeah, that there's actually a lot of money to be made nowadays in no gi jujitsu. So that's something that's pretty cool. Um, and then MMA is probably big. Muay Thai is not big in the US, which I just don't get because I think Muay Thai is awesome. You know what I mean? They have Muay Thai is just kickboxing, they on elbows, knees, all the stand up, fun, exciting portions of an MMA fight. So I don't know why guys just don't want to watch that, but we don't really have a big circuit in here. In Europe, or not Europe, in Asia, they have one FC, which is, they do little gloves Muay Thai fights. So they do like, and that's huge out there. So I think that's really cool. Boxing, you know, I I like boxing, like I watch it, but I'm not I don't really know too many boxers or anything like that. I'm not big into that comparatively to like all these other stuff like jiu-jitsu and MMA and Muay Thai and all that stuff. But
Yeah, I stayed up late to watch the last Tyson fight, and that may be the last boxing match I watch for the rest of my life.
yeah, it's unfortunate. I knew that was gonna be like that because he's just too old, man. It just sucks. He's just too old. Like, guy's 60.
You
You know
know,
what I'm saying?
I had hopes that they would give him, the cocktail of like methamphetamine, a
Yeah.
big old shot of Tren, and send him out there for one last hurrah, die on the mat. But
Father
they,
time, bro. Undefeated. And
yeah,
then they go against this fucking kid. Jake, I don't know what even Paulo was, Jake Paul, whatever, who's actually kind of athletic and not that bad of a boxer now after all these years. He's actually getting pretty good. So, but I think they're having him fight Anthony Joshua, who's a really good boxer, and he's gonna smoke him. Hopefully that happens. So we'll see.
I won't be watching because
No, don't. You don't.
when
Don't waste your time. So I know right
whenever
there.
anybody asks me about any sporting, it could be baseball, football, boxing. I give my standard answer. Oh, is Michael Jordan playing? And they'll say no, obviously. And I go, okay, well, I'm not interested.
You're a
And that's it.
wrestler.
Yeah.
Wrestlers don't watch other sports.
I
They do
really lost
things.
interest with sports when I joined the military. I stopped watching them. So I just fell out of love with sports. And then the Cubs won the World Series. And then that was it. That was like the last milestone for anybody from the Midwest to care about. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm over it.
I'm with you. I'm not really. Besides the Patriots, I'll watch. I started because this year they started being good again. But other than that, I'm not really. I mean, even fighting, I'm a player more than I am a watcher. I never really get into. I was never the kid to watch ESPN or no stats or anything like that. I just kind of like going doing stuff. I like surfing, snowboarding, skateboarding, going outside, see all those kind of stuff. I really enjoyed. So I was never really like a sports guy like that as well. Although I'm just happen to be pretty good at sports.
Well, you gotta have some ability and some
Yeah.
want to do it. So what's with this T3I? You're just initial entry testing people, or is this with the Air Force, or what is that, a private
So,
contractor?
it's a private contracting company I've been working for them for 2 years now. Um, so it's been an awesome. If I didn't have that job, I would not be able to, pay my bills. So it's pretty cool because I can schedule when I work with that job. So, and I know, so I gotta administer some PT tests every yeah, at least like once a week. And then I run workouts with the guys we call dev sessions. So I could choose what kind of dev sessions I do. I do like a water confidence dev sessions, or I do them put them through like some sort of workout, bring them on a run. We'll do like grass and gorillas, which is like a field type workout where, like think about like multicams and, they don't have multicams, but you know what I mean? Like smoking guys and doing bear crawls and all that stuff. So, I kind of choose what I want to do with the guys depending on who I have. If guys are passing their peak, if they're, not- if they just got, if I just get them, generally I work on getting them ready for the PT test and teaching them how to kind of work out and train to get ready for the actual PT test. Now, if they start passing the PT test, I'll kind of move to more of like, all right, let's get this guy ready for the pipeline and teach him about rucking, teach him about grass and gorillas, field stuff. You know what I mean? Teaching him about how to pack a ruck. Or bring him to the pool. We do water confidence things. Teach him underwater strokes. Teach him just regular swim strokes. Show them the different vents that they'll be seeing in the pipeline. And so it's really cool. It's a cool job. You know what I mean? Kind of keeps me a little bit connected to the community as well. You know what I mean? And the company I work for is great. I've nothing, they've been awesome. It's all ran by prior combat controllers and PJs and all that Air Force guys. So it's kind of cool to work for a company that still does that. So, right now that I am, I'm not, I'm working like part time, because I am going to the fire academy. So, but as soon as I get done with that, hopefully get back into that and start doing that role.
No, that's cool. So this, and then is it all of the because of PJ, combat controllers, and what's the other ones?
So now they have, which wasn't a job. So they have special reconnaissance is
That's
the
it.
new
Yeah.
job they have. So we had SAUTs when I was in, which was special operations weather team. Um,
Ooh, the Gray Berets, very
Big Ray
prestigious.
Berets. Yeah, yes, facetious. Which was kind of a weird job, you know what I mean? But like, I think we have satellites and all that stuff, so you don't really need a weather guy anymore. So they kind of trying to transition that job, that career field into like being like reconnaissance and snipers and whatever. However, I don't know why an ODA is gonna bring on another sniper slash reconnaissance guy to a team that's already stacked with guys that already know how to do all that stuff. So I don't know how that's working out with the Air Force. But we have our TAC Ps, which is they're just JTACs, only JTACs. Traditionally, JAC Ps were attached to conventional units like the 82nd or Ranger battalions. Well, it's not conventional, but you know what I mean. Like they'll attach to them, and then like CCTs would be the JTACs on ODAs. Additionally, run FARPs and refuel points and all that stuff. But I know nowadays that I think they're trying to get the JTACs more and like embedded with ODAs and stuff, but this thing is they don't have this. When I was going through, they didn't really have the same pipeline. Like ours was a lot more intensive. Their pipeline was like 8 months, and our pipeline is 2.5 years with all these different additional jobs. So I know there's a lot of politics and stuff going on right now within the Air Force to figuring out what their identity is. So I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but I just kind of treat everybody the same as they come in and get people ready for as best as possible.
But you're getting all four of them coming to
I'm
you
getting all
where you're
four
at.
of them. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, and
Yep, so for a little while they're just like, "Alright, we're gonna do a blanket," like, kinda like you guys did, like, you're a 18 X-ray, right? You're just coming as an 18 X-ray. You go through the pipeline, and then they'll select what career field they're gonna put you on after you go through that. So you don't even know what kinda job you're gonna get. You know what I mean? So, but that I guess that changed. I don't know if they did that. It wasn't really going good, so now they're going back to the way we did it before. So they just don't know what the hell they're doing right now. They're going back and forth all of us. But if you talk to the ones ready guys, they have a lot more insight and exactly how all this stuff is running.
well, they got all kinds of stuff going on. There's I could do nothing but Green Beret stuff like pipeline, train up, talk to. But I don't want to do that. I want to talk to everybody. But there's so much. It just takes a while. Like you're only like the second or third Air Force guy that I've interviewed on here. It's just because there's so much ground to cover and
Yeah.
things like
I,
that.
I,
So I've talked to them occasionally, but they're busy too, and
yeah.
all kinds of shit going on. Somebody I think Steven Nisbet told me about that. They were they were lumping everybody together and then telling them where to go. And I said, "Oh, man, that's we're every 18 hopeful Green Beret hopeful is
Yeah.
aware that they could, you know, become an 18 Delta. Like, okay, it could happen. You get selected, and then you take your D lab, and they get your scores, and then you get your wish list. And Delta was last for me, but I was like, wow, my scores are pretty high. It might come up. I hope not, but if it comes, we're all aware that that could happen. But if you make somebody a PJ that they don't want to be, that's not cool.
No. That's not cool. No, I get it. I agree, man. It's any of the jobs, really. I mean, if you didn't want to do that, like, you kind of have to be passionate about what you do just to even make it. You know what I mean? You got to want to do that job, and if you don't want to do that job, it's kind of, what I mean. That's one thing though. I think for me, I kind of wish I went the PJ route, because now being a firefighter with the EMT and all that stuff and extractions and all that stuff, I think that would have helped me out a lot as being a PJ. So, because now right now I'm going through EMT school, and so I wish I had all that training already. If I would have went through the pipeline, but so so
Oh, I agree with you there. I wish I had. I, I I was born, I believe, to be an 18 Charlie, an engineer, but I wish I would have done anything else. literally
Yeah,
anything.
not too much Charlie stuff you can do besides make some projects around the house, engineer some cool stuff around the house.
As far as construction, I learned nothing in the course that they taught. They didn't teach me anything as far as construction. Um,
Really?
yeah, no, I didn't learn anything about construction from the Charlie course or special operations construction that I didn't already know. And then calc in place was just math, and they're giving you the
Yeah.
formulas and stuff. I've forgotten all of that. That's all gone.
Yeah.
And I don't think I carried anything out of the Charlie course other than leadership acumen that I carry with me today. I don't remember any of the charges stuff. I don't remember
Me
any
neither.
of the nothing. I knew the basic math. I don't think you
You
know,
got a crimp? I remember crimp.
crimp, turn
Crimp
it
some
90,
plastic
crimp
glass,
again.
that's about it.
Yeah, yeah.
There was a time cord or something like that.
I bet I could cut a time fuse right now. I think I could remember how to do that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I could figure that out. But yeah, there's very little that came out of the course. To whereas I'll see stuff pop up all the time. Oh, they need a delta to go here. I'm like, God damn it, I should have just sucked it up and put delta on there.
Yeah.
And then, would I have passed? I don't know. But things worked out. As I say,
Yeah.
I got my beret, and I got hurt, and it ended. So it could have been a lot worse. It could have had a lot less.
Don't you guys have to do like I know you guys do a ton of different roles because you're kind of limited to what with your teams over there. Additionally, as a Delta, do you guys have to do all like the team like management as well, like logistics as well as
So,
as time with the Delta with the
so
Charlies?
Charlies are explosives, construction,
Yeah,
explosives, demolition, and logistics. And
and
then
logistics. That's right.
so when I got hurt, I went to the B team, and I just became, I still a Green Beret. I would just went into a support role. So I went on the B team, and then you're in charge of the property for the B team, and then taking stuff that the teams need something, you take that in, you try and get it approved, you try and get it for the teams and things like that. And yeah, supporting whatever the teams need. If you need them, they need you to put a packer through, get a demo range, or help them with that, or something administrative. You would help them with that, assisting with training. But yeah, generally, your whole world is the property book as the Charlie, and then demolition, and then everybody intermixes skills after that. I was big on the Deltas loved me, so they would come to the B team room and grab me because they'd get new guys in that'd have to do IV training. So they would just come grab me, and it cost them 2 beers, and they could put 2 IVs in my arms while I drank my 2 beers for the new guys to do IV training. But you assist
At
where you
least you don't
can.
get hangovers. You won't get hangovers like that, so that's good.
Then I was drinking way too much back then, way
Yeah.
too much, and it only got worse for the next 7 years after that. So yeah,
Yeah, that's a military issue. I feel like across the board is just like how, and I mean I like to have a beer like anybody else. I'm not saying that, like you can't beer, but I feel like it's too much. Like the fact of like our team rooms would have like fridges with beers in it. You know what I mean? It just seemed like it was just like such a part of our culture and so accepted. And then like, and I'm sure you've lost your friends, and like every single time somebody does something and they're abusing alcohol on the outside. You know what I mean? There's no other outlets. They can't. This is the only thing. But I mean, we can only work out so much, and then you just get fucking wasted. And I feel like that was a big problem. Like if they, I mean, I'm victim. I was I did the same thing. I was drinking so much when I was in the military, comparatively to when I got out and I started fighting. And I couldn't drink at all because I had all this strict diets and everything. I was like, man, if other guys has something to strive and train for, and to put because you have to just care about something more than that. You know what I mean? And like, when you get into a routine on team, like there's nothing you just kind of like, oh, it's another day, or you know what I mean, another training trip. I'm gonna go get wasted downtown. And it's always kept recycling, revolving on getting drunk. And I feel like guys never really cared about had a different goal that they wanted to accomplish more than that life. You know what I mean? So I just wish that. So that's something I think that they needed like really focus on in the military to try to fix in a healthy way without like taking away people's rights of drinking and having a good time. So I don't really know how to do that. You can't be like, all right, guys, no fucking drinking. They'd be go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? At the same time, I wish it was like it could breed a culture where more, you know what I mean? Something just more useful than just partying all the time. You know what I mean?
I've said on the show, what excellent Green Berets we would be if we weren't allowed to drink. On the flip side of that, it wasn't a problem. It wasn't an issue. And then all of a sudden it was. And
Yeah.
it's just like this suicide. I sat with the sergeant major in Colorado, right? And I said, "Yeah, you've been in 30 years. When did this come up on your radar?" And he like, poof, you know, because we go back, that's 1995. He comes in, he goes, 2008 is when I started noticing it. I go, okay. So then that means probably started people, like the higher ups probably started noticing in 4 or 5, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then things snowballed and they couldn't get ahead of it because we had this big war. Everybody was invited for
War.
22 years. Um,
Yeah.
Next cycle, there's no lag. You're coming back, you're released, then you go right back in training cycle. Man, I I I say it actually doesn't matter how we got to where we are. We're here. We got to deal with
Yeah.
the problem before we can go back and look at the past before we repeat it again, right? And that's the problem. We're in the acute phase. Like I'm sober now. I don't drink at all. I went right off the cliff. You know,
Yeah.
almost 20 months sober, working on 2 years. I feel great. I'm a bad
Congrats.
motherfucker
That's
again.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
you can't tell people not to do something. And as my last guest put up, he's like, we would, they would yell at us in formation, Rangers, right? They would just yell at us on Friday, do not go drink and drive. And he said 8 weekends a row, somebody got a DUI, 8 in a row. And I go,
Yeah.
obviously it's nobody listens. They're not, you tell them not to do something, they're going to do it. So
Yeah.
the drinking, whatever. I think that it is part of the culture. The next generation, the pendulum has swung back the other
It
way.
has.
They don't drink. I think the numbers
Bunch
are
of
something like
pussies.
20%.
I'm
Yeah,
playing.
right. Um,
I was
it's
just joking.
they're
But no,
purchasing
it's true.
20% of the alcohol that our generation did, and
That's awesome. I
it'll
that's good.
it'll
You know what I
swing
mean?
back the other way.
Yeah, eventually it will. Everything's a pendulum. Everything goes back and forth. So, but yeah, yeah. It's been, dude. Like even I remember, like even we had like Bear Olympics. As a new guy, you got on team you had to do the Bear Olympics. Do like you run a mile with like you have to chug a beer. You have to chug a beer, run like a quarter mile to a thing, do an exercise, chug another beer. You end up doing like 6 beers by the time you run this whole thing with like a gas mask on, carrying jerry cans. So it was like it was it was just so part of our fucking our culture. But you know, it is what it is. I think that like you said, it's a pendulum. I think that these younger generations, these kids are totally way different than what we were. So I don't even know what it looks like within the military anymore. So I think that, that's a positive thing. And then I don't know what the fight's looking like nowadays either. You know what I mean? Or deployments or anything. It looks scary, comparatively to what we went through with it. Because dude, I got out like there was a couple drones, right? Little we were using them a little bit. You know what I mean on our side, and then there was like a couple here and there. You'd hear about like a grenade strapped to a drone, and then now I'm watching this like Ukraine war shit, and I'm just like, holy shit, man, that's a whole different animal. That's not a fight that I don't wanna I wouldn't wanna be a part of, man. It's just like another it's definitely scary for now, joining in and seeing what the potential kind of fights we could be in the future.
We'll figure it out. I
Yeah.
somebody tried saying in one of the comments of one of my reels that the American Special Forces are gonna not be able to adapt to the next generation of
Yeah,
warfare.
I don't know.
I go, "We spend like $1 trillion on defense. I think we'll figure it out, you know?
Yeah,
We'll be okay."
we'll be better.
They'll
I agree.
they'll come up with something, and, 'cause we're only just buying time until we wipe out our species, so we're just ramping up until that happens, and then when that we don't have to worry about it anymore. So
True.
I'm not worried about anything. The I don't sit at any table that makes any decision that really affects I'm only alive because other people allow me to be alive. Like, there's nothing People debate me on that. I go, "You're only alive because, like, 4 people, like, come together and allow it. Like, we can easily wipe life off the face of the planet. Your life
There's
has
nothing we
no
can do about it. If
there's
they made
nothing
the
you can do
decision
about it.
tomorrow,
Gone."
there's nothing we can do. That's why I they know this right to bear arms thing, and people are like, oh my, it's like that. I want your rights. Every American should have the right to to protect yourself, and I want everybody to have guns. But like everybody's like, yeah, because we're gonna go against the government. I'm like, against they have Apache helicopters.
They
Do
do.
you think your fucking gun's gonna do something to an Apache helicopter, bro? An
But I
AC
will
135 gunship is flying over your head. There's nothing your gun is gonna do to stop the government from doing what they want to do to you.
they still do have to convince the citizens to fly those things, though.
True,
You know?
they do. I'm not saying they're going to, but you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
No society has ever recovered from firing on its own citizens, so hopefully we can stay below that threshold and just keep this train going for at least I gotta make it I wanna get how many VA checks before I go? I wanna get, like so I gotta get at least 35, 40 more years out of the checks coming in, otherwise I'm not
Yeah,
gonna feel satisfied with getting my money back. So,
at least you got this. I mean, at least you got military. What's it go? So you got the disability checks. That's awesome for good for you on that thing. Yeah, I
I
mean, you deserved it, but it's like you
I
see
would
so many
rather
people
have
getting.
done I would rather have done 20, 30 years, but yeah.
I bet. I believe that. I believe that 100%. At least you're in a situation, it's not the worst situation. You know what I mean?
No.
Comparatively.
Well, yeah, like I said, I get a check on the 1st of every month, and I'm afraid of the ocean, so it's a win-win situation on my end.
We gotta break that fear of the ocean. You gotta get
No,
out there.
you guys can keep it, fuck that, there's fish in there that'll swallow you. I ain't going out there, man. No.
It is sketchy. It is sketchy. Dude, it's funny because I grew up like never really thought about. I surfed by myself, going out every single day. Not didn't really give a shit at all. And then I started diving and stuff. And I was down in Florida. And I was like, I saw some sharks, and I'm like, oh, these things are here. And then I came back to New England, and there's like they started filming fucking Shark Week and Cape Cod, like where I used to surf growing up, and they have seen all these shark things and like half eaten seals washing up on the freaking thing. I'm like, I'm a little sketched out now about going surfing, dude. I don't have the confidence I did when I was a kid. As I get older, I'm like, dude, it's actually kind of sketchy out here. Like you're sitting there just bobbing in the water, waiting for someone to bite your fucking leg off, dude.
I I think I saw Shark Week once where they caught a bull shark in, like, St. Louis, Missouri, and I said, "I'm
Yeah.
never going back in the water ever again." Um,
It's a rational fear. I'll give you that. I'll give you the sharks are a rational fear.
no, I ain't going in there. I can't see through the water. I'm good with the pool. I got a 50-50 chance of death in the pool with the lifeguards not coming to get me, and, I'm good with that. But
Yeah.
so I wanna go back into the getting these kids are you getting kids that don't know how to swim at all and you're making them into CCTs or getting them ready to start the pipeline? Or what are you
Yeah.
taking them from? What are your executables?
Obviously, everybody's all over the spot. So they do have to pass. They're supposed to pass this. I forgot what it's called. Some test a recruiter gives that's easier than our pass test to even be able to get into the It's called a DFT. Yeah, sorry, it's called the DFT.
Fuck
To
was
get
that?
into yeah, my girlfriend's gonna know it. She was gonna be she was gonna be she was gonna go in and be a SEER specialist, which is one of the candidates. It's
Yeah.
not considered special warfare, but she wanted to go in for being a SEER, and then it ended up happening because whatever. But anyways, long story. But I was like, no, you're not going into the military. Um, so you have to take a DFT, so it's just like a little initial test, and if you pass that, you can come take a pass test with me. And then once you're into the dev, you're allowed to come to my training sessions and train with us. So you're supposed to be able to swim a little bit, but however, a lot of these recruiters, man, they want their numbers, and they're like, oh, yep, you're good. To go straight to it. They just want to get people in there, and a lot of times I'm teaching people how to swim, but you'd be surprised. Sometimes it's a mentality thing. Like anybody, you know this, and I know this, right? Like you have the biggest, strongest, like jacked guys in the world, and they just don't. They're just not cut out for this job, and they quit. But if the guys who really want it, they're very consistent with actually showing up to my dev sessions and showing up to the workouts and showing up to the taking the test, and I will see them. They usually generally they have like 2.5 months, but if they get better every single time, even if it's like a little bit, those are the guys I see end up being seen pretty successful. It's the guys that I see, and now they'll do, even if let's just stay at the same level, even if they pass in that pass test, but their numbers never get better. You just know they're not putting in the work. That's just where they're at, and they seem like the ones that generally just don't do as well. So that being said, I like it's a attrition thing. You know what I mean? Only I think we've only had like from the guys that I've tested in the last 2 years, like from New England, I think we've only had like 3 or 4 guys actually make it through are still in the pipeline. I don't even know if guys even got awarded their berets yet because it's 2.5 years. But yeah, I think we've only had 3 or 4 guys that are kind of near the end of their so, and I mean, I'm talking like some days I'm testing 20 something people. You know what I mean? And it's which rightly so. Like I mean, this is the reason why it's special operations. You can't mass produce special operations. You know that. So it's
Yes, you
like
can. You 100% can. We did do it. Everybody says that. That's bullshit. That's a tagline. We did do it. We just upped our production, and then we're like, we're not mass producing them. We are. We're just still using the same pipeline. We're just shoving more people through.
shoving more
Yeah.
people in it, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but for us, I don't know. It's been, there hasn't been too many guys that have been, and some of the guys are like, oh, this guy's gonna fucking kill it. You know what I mean? Who I think they're gonna kill it, and then they end up quitting because like their girlfriend or some shit like that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like these physical studs, or then you'll hear but I got a couple guys I think are still in the pipeline. I think they're being successful, or some of my really good ones. They get hurt. I had one kid that I was training on the side to get him ready for it because he's like showing up. If you show me you really want to do it, I'll spend the extra time to like work out with you and give you extra attention. You know what I mean with my candidates, because I don't mind getting a workout in. You know what I mean. For me, it's fun too. I can just do the workout along with them and get some training in. But he went to the pipeline. He ended up tearing his like freaking hip socket. So he got washed back. He got washed out actually, but he's gonna go back in again and try again. So, but yeah, it's been rough, man. Not it's I attrition wise, they're not letting a lot of people in. It seems like to me.
No, I think we are hurting. Uh, from everything I've gathered, and everybody I've talked to, we're hurting for
Yeah,
not only people going to selection, but getting selected because they they're not moving that standard. Everybody can debate. Oh, we've lowered standards, and from what I've seen and the people I've talked to, they have not, and we are. The numbers show that because we're not graduating people like we were. So it's if we were lowering standards, I think they probably would have be pushing more people through.
and there's also could just be a cultural shift in the way people act and behave, in which the guys in our generation don't want to select these kids because you guys have the selection method, which I like that. Like I feel like when I was going through it was like if you don't quit and you don't you can basically make it through without getting washed out. The very end, if you're like a complete shitbag, yeah, those guys usually they found a way to get rid of those guys. But for the most part, you could basically make it pretty far by just not quitting. I like how you guys actually have that selection method because that really weeds out and gets rid of guys. But yeah, I just feel like I feel like maybe because these kids are just totally different culturally than our generation coming up. They
You're
live in a
sounding
totally
old
different
right now.
world.
You're sounding super old at 33 years old now.
But it's true. It's like, dude, like when I was a kid, there was a portion in my life when I was a kid, my mom, we had one phone and it was like a flip phone. You know what I mean? Like I had a flip phone in high school. You know what I mean? Like that was different than having a tablet phone that you communicate that you could FaceTime people with and all this just everything's just completely different than what it was for us growing up. And I just feel like culturally I could see an old crusty fucking dude like just like I'm not selecting that guy because he just doesn't understand the way they act and behave and they're just different than we
Oh,
are.
so yeah, I do have a theory on that. We have a three generation problem, right? And I actually worked this out into an analogy as well. If you'd like to hear it,
I'd
it's
love to hear.
all right. So here's what we got. Right, we have let's say the people in charge, the eldest of our generation, and then we have the in between generation, and then we have the incoming generation. And I see this through my content. because Ranger Regiment has the best content there is out there right now, closely followed by the Air Force and then the Navy and then the Army, dead last. Rangers the best. The Green Berets are far at the bottom. Some pages are better than others, but we are dead last because we've changed what we want to do and and our mission and what we're doing and our all these other shit. We're in this in between time, if you will. So it's not that the people in charge don't understand the incoming generation. It's that they don't have the ability to ever understand the incoming generation. So I equate it to this, right? The the senior generation, they were born without legs, right? They've adapted to having no advantages of being able to walk. They've overcome that and they are fit to go on with their lives. The in between generation, uh, my generation, it's a kind of a reverse thing, but we had legs and then we lost our legs. So we know what it's like to not have legs and we know what it's like to have legs. We know
Yeah.
what the advantages are, but we don't know how to use it properly because we didn't adapt. We weren't born with it from birth, so we don't know how to use it properly like the senior generation. They adapted to every disadvantage, right? Well,
Yeah.
the incoming generation, they're born with legs. They'll always have legs. They will be born from birth with every technological advantage and know how to use it from its inception. So there's a
Yeah.
generational gap. The the highest generation and the lowest generation have no ability to ever understand one another because they don't have that middle ground.
I totally agree with you. That's exactly it. And I see it 100%. You know what I mean? And I'm right where you are. I feel like I'm right there. I can see both sides. You know what I mean? Even you're even closer to the probably, that older generation
I have to
understanding
work
him.
so hard to learn all the stuff that I do, where
Yes.
people start, 20 years younger than me, born with it, and I'm just like, "What the fuck does this thing do?" So there's that split. Now, as I say, the pendulum, it'll swing back the other way.
Yeah.
Everything will right itself. There's team sergeants and sergeant majors in special forces right now that are 15 years. I mean, and God, 18 X-rays at 15 years, sergeant major. That means came in the army in 2010. So things will change
Right.
over, and
Yeah.
that they'll be just how they are. Everything changes. Everything goes up and everything goes down and back and forward. And the
Yeah.
only thing I can do is give the incoming guys, if they ask me, or the teams that want to work with me, or special operations nonprofits, correct information and do the right thing the
Right.
right way. That's the only thing I can affect is the content that I put out. And hopefully I do a good job. And if not, hopefully I'll go away then.
Yeah. That's a good mentality. I think you're doing an awesome job, man. This has been awesome. Good, I like what you're doing, man. You got a good podcast. So you said you've had multiple Air Force guys on. What guys have you had on before this? Do you know
It's
them? Or,
Stephen Nesbitt, and I think I've got an unreleased one that I couldn't put
okay,
out. So this will, I think you're going to be episode 100 actually,
nice.
possibly, because I was planning on doing something fancy, and then I was like, well, I don't want to do that. So because it's a bunch of cutting best of, and I'm
Yeah,
not really set up for success when it comes to that because my setup sucks. But you'll be episode 100. There's got to be somebody else, but I mean, I had one Air Force guy. He was just in the regular Air Force, and he's the wildest uh, pipeline to Green Beret that there was. He couldn't get his Air Force unit to let him to go to selection, and this is in like 2007 or 2008. So he took leave from the Air Force, 30 days of leave, went to Fort Bragg, went through Special Forces assessment and selection, got selected, went back to his unit, and they had to release him to the Army, and the Army wouldn't
that's
take him
crazy.
yeah, but then the Army wouldn't take him unless he had an MOS. So he had to just go get an MOS from the Army of whatever they would give him. And then he was able to go back through and then go into the pipeline, graduate, and then go to an ODA. So that was the most shifty sideways pipeline.
That's
It was from an Air Force guy.
good for him figuring that shit out, dude. That's pretty badass. And he
That's
may I
cool.
probably enjoyed that better, honestly. Yeah, I mean that's pretty badass.
That's
I
well.
I had a couple guys I know that went into the army from my Air Force team. Like I think one of these kids made it all the way through training, and then he had something wrong with his ears, or when it came to diving, he couldn't Valsalva, so he couldn't release the pressure, and so they're gonna like wash him out, but he was able to. They allowed him to go assess and go in to become a Green Beret, and I believe he's doing. And he's an MMA fighter as well, so he actually ended up doing that. So yeah, man.
It's fucking
At least they
badass.
have that. They allow people to do that. I think they're starting to allow people to do that, but they should be. I feel like you should be able to go from service to service. Put way too much freaking red tape out there. You know what I mean? I understand the basic soldiering skills, but like if you make it far enough into the Air Force, you know, combat control like pipeline, you should be able to transfer over and
As
switch it
long
up.
as you go through selection, I don't care what anybody
Yeah,
does, you know? I don't mean, I now I feel like there's a couple guys I've heard, and one I'm fairly certain, I don't know if he was lying to us or not, but they just showed up in the Q course, and but we're pretty from what they told us, the unit sent him down, and one kid was like, "Yeah, they sent me down to get more leadership experience," or something like that. I was like, "Is this guy fucking with us?" Or, I don't know if this guy's fucking with us, so that I really don't care about, because
or
if they're
yeah,
fucking with us, and then maybe they are, because guys will get bored and stuff that are super smart, and they'll just tell stories and shit, but,
yeah.
I also had, an
You see
OSIA.
those guys pop up. Oh yeah, I had some of those guys in my jump master course. A couple of the unit guys will just come. Those guys will find their way into random courses all over the place. I feel like dive
Yeah.
school too. I not you know they're 2-4 guys that had to come back and redo and come pop into our dive school course for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah,
Are you dive soup?
I'm not dive soup. I am jump master, airborne, and and then not Halo, and, just I'm a master diver, but I don't think that really doesn't mean anything for, like, on the military side. Or a
No, no.
civilian master diver, I just got my freaking whatever, do that on the side.
So why did you wanna become a firefighter now, though? Or you just get bored? You're like, "What's the next hardest thing I can do?"
'Cause Um, so like I'm trying to run my gym as a business, you know what I mean? I just need more money, really what it came down to. I need to do a job outside of just running my gym. The hours of being a firefighter are pretty cool. You do 24-hour shift, you take 2 days off, you do a 24-hour shift, and you take 4 days off. So you have plenty of time to do other stuff. I also like I think being a firefighter would be pretty cool. Everybody I've talked to, yeah, I train with a lot of guys and do jujitsu with a lot of guys who are firefighters because they have more time to do things like jujitsu. And I talked to them, they're all like, "Dude, it's the best job." Everybody I've talked to said they love being a firefighter, and I was just like, "Yeah, that's like something I would like to do." And so far, I've liked it. You know, I'm only going through right now. I'm going through EMT portion, and then, once I finish EMT, will go to the actual fire academy and learn how to, like, put out fires and all that stuff, and, it's cool, it just reminds me of the military a little bit, I wake up, I go PT in the morning, bring the guys and I'm kinda, like, helping running the PT sessions over there, so that's kinda fun, so we do a workout, we go to school, back in the classroom, and then, it's just good hours, you know what I mean? I enjoy it. It's definitely something it just kinda brings me back to being on team a little bit, you know what I mean? Obviously not the level the type of
Yeah.
guys, more of a civilian level kind of thing, but it's like it reminds me of that same aspect of being back on team. So it's kind of why I like it.
I I thought about it, and I could do it, no problem. I don't want to see terrible things. I really don't.
Yeah,
I could do it, but I have to hear a lot, and I have to see, from the administrative side, a lot of things that are happening that people don't see, and that stuff bothers me, and I'm not, like, right there in it. I just have
yeah.
like, unless I absolutely have to, like, "Okay, Nick, it's time to switch it on." I just don't wanna see trauma. I don't. I have no interest.
I'll be honest, that was one of the things that was kind of hesitant for me initially at first, is because, like, you kind of get through that, right? When I got out of the military, and definitely like when I first came back, that's actually why I started training again. I didn't start training to because I was like kind of fucked up from my deployment for whatever reason, and not to say it was the most intensive deployment in the world, but it was like still it's my first time fucking seeing shit like that, you know what I mean? And so I was kind of messed up in the head a little bit, and so I started training. Like anytime I've ever struggled with anything in my entire life since I was a kid, I would always go into my martial arts gym. That's why I started traditional martial arts, is like because I was like punching holes in the wall when I was a teenager. My mom was like, "We need to put you in a gym or something like that," and that's what kind of got me going to it. So that's what I did. I came home from deployment. It's kind of messed up. So yeah, I'm fucking. I'm gonna start training again. Started training, and then I started taking fights, and then that's what brought me down that whole thing to actually getting me back into the UFC. So I was definitely, going to this fire drive, thinking about that. Everybody's like, yeah, you got to show it to car crashes, you got to do all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then being in Afghanistan is one thing with like most of the time you're dealing with military age males. You know what I mean? I said, like, now you got to start dealing with kids and women and all that stuff. And I'm just like, ah, but, at the end of the day, it's, somebody's gotta do that job, and I understand that, and not that I wanna look forward to that stuff, but the one good saving grace is being a firefighter is, like, I'm EMT certified. Most of our job is just going into fires and taking people out and assisting with the paramedics. I'm not, like, the actual paramedic guy, you know what I mean? So, like, I feel like that's something that kinda saved me. I was like, "Alright, I can do that. I can help out. I don't wanna be fucking every single day pulling fucking you know what I mean? Doing saving people in the back of the ambulance and dealing with that trauma anymore because yeah, dude, that stuff hangs with you. And at least with deployments and stuff, like you kind of come home and it ends in deployment. When you're doing what I feel bad for these paramedics and these EMTs is like, dude, they're doing this their whole life. Every single day they go to work, especially in the city that I live in. It's like it's kind of Fall River, Massachusetts. It's kind of like a lot of heroin. There's a lot of gun violence, knife violence, and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, these guys are doing this shit day in and day out. I feel bad for these paramedics, man. I was like, man, that's actually I have a lot more respect than I had prior to these guys in these cities like that actually do these trauma cases every single day, day in and day out.
It's rough. For the Delta course, the guys have to go do a trauma rotation, and they don't send them to nice places. A friend of mine went to St. Louis, and he goes, "Bro, we got shot at way more than when I was in Iraq the first time, and I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, we're going up to pull people, say you get a car crash or whatever, or stabbing or something, and there's fucking guns going off and shit, and I'm like, where the fuck are we?
Bro,
So
and they don't have guns on them. You know
no,
what I mean? The EMTs don't carry gun. I'm like, dude, I'm like, man, I would want to fucking carry like going into like a house where there's a shooting going on and like you don't know what you're gonna go around the corner. And a lot of times, like they don't, the people like don't know if you're a cop or if you're a fucking EMT. They don't see the difference. They just see somebody coming in with a fucking uniform on. I'm like, dude, that's pretty sketchy. Yeah, and like, fuck, dude. Yeah, it gets pretty gnarly. Gets pretty gnarly out there. These instructors I have right now are like telling us real life situations and real life story. I'm like, damn, no joke.
yeah, there's uh, there's terrible things in the world if you look for them.
one
You know,
hundred percent.
but yeah, we do what we can. Well, that's honorable, also, man. Just another continued public service. So it seems like that's the direction that you want to keep going, and you're still young enough. And shit, I mean, there's guys retiring Green Berets. There's a couple guys I've seen on Facebook that are friends of mine, and they 20 years, and then they go to the fire academy and they're killing it there. So, um,
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. Yeah. No, I'm still not going to do it, but good for you. So, how far are you from moving your gym out of your mom's basement, or is it pretty much permanent now?
No, we're moving out. We're gonna move out. The issue is parking is really the
Oh,
issue right now.
okay.
Yeah, I feel bad for my neighbors. My neighbors are very cool. I gotta say that my neighbors are watching, like I'm very appreciative of them because like they are my parents' neighbors. Not even I don't even live there. My parents' house. Uh, because there's cars parked down the fucking street right now, and it's
You
like
got to be throwing a block party every year for the whole neighborhood, you know?
Yeah, we should. Honestly, I should throw a party, a little thank you party to these everybody, because man, I'm very
There'll be no
appreciative of that.
parking for that because everybody will be there.
Can't do it on the same day I got the gym on it. So like honestly, so right now, like I could probably run my gym more nights, but I don't want to run it every single night because I don't want these people to be like, there's cars parked out the fucking down the street every single night. You know what I mean? So I'm really running the gym like 4 days a week, 3 or 4 days a week, and so, but yeah, man, that's the biggest. So after once I get through the fire academy, I get settled, and I don't have to worry about that. I'm gonna find a space because now that I have enough memberships, people showing up, I can definitely move out of the gym. But it is nice right now. Rent's pretty cheap in my parents' house. Not gonna lie. So you know what I mean. Making that money is a lot better than paying for all the utilities. But I also feel bad for my parents because we got bags and stuff downstairs. So like people are kicking the bag, hitting the bag, like shaking the house, and I'm like, dude. I got to get out of there. So we plan on getting out probably this spring. Get through the winter, and I mean, it was like I finished the fire academy I think in February. So and then we're looking for a spot around March and April. And I don't know if now the question is, do I still keep calling it Mom's Basement?
Yeah,
Because like I
absolutely,
feel like
one hundred percent.
it's like a good it's I'm branded. That's the brand. I think that's where we leave it there. Just keep no matter where I go, it's gonna be Mom's Basement.
Eminem's restaurant is called Mom Spaghetti. You gotta keep it going. The only question that I wrote down, I didn't ask you now until we're almost wrapped up now, but what is that feeling like of walking out for your UFC fight and that feeling? Describe that one for me because I was curious about that.
So when I first came back to fighting, all right, when I came back from my deployment, all right, when I was a kid, I was scared as shit. Scariest thing I ever did prior to jumping out of a plane and having my first airborne jump is my fight. I like, like tunnel vision, blacked out, like lights go on, you fight somebody. Scariest thing I ever did. All right. Jumping out of airplanes is pretty scary too. All right, that's probably another one I get really really nervous for. I had tunnel vision for that as well. I barely remember anything, just hitting the ground. Um, I went to deployed and I came back and I started fighting. And dude, my first like couple amateur fights, I came back. I was having so much fun. It wasn't scary to me at all. I feel like prior to everything else I was just doing and deployment and all that stuff, like I was it was like it was fun in there. But as I started climbing the ranks and getting myself up and I started fighting on TV and fighting, you know what I mean? Then the stakes got a lot higher and as those nerves kind of creep back into me. So dude, it's literally fight week is a weird feeling. It's like the whole week is just like adrenaline is just kind of going through your body and you're just like walking out from my first fight. It was my first UFC fight, it was in New Jersey at Boardwalk Arena. I think Boardwalk something or whatever it is. A big giant Boardwalk Hall, big giant arena, and it was crazy, man. It was a great feeling. Having Bruce Buffer announce my name, and yeah, man, that was a really good experience for me. It was amazing. I didn't get the result I wanted, but it was still a fun. I still enjoyed that fight. I still like, what I mean, it was a dream for me to, fight in the UFC and in the octagon in front of thousands of people.
Yeah, but fuck, I mean, how many people can say they were a combat controller? They run their own MMA gym. They fought in the UFC, and they're a firefighter, and they do initial entry training for Air Force special operations. It's pretty badass in itself.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, that must have been cool, because seeing everybody, because you see these people on TV, and then you see them in real life, and you're like, yeah, they're just people. They're just people, but it's like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it. It is pretty cool, man. Like and now it's cool. Like when I watch the UFC, it's like, oh, I know that guy. Like the random people that people don't notice, like the guy in like the blue shirts who's like, opens up the gate. I'm like, oh, I know who that guy is. I talked to that guy. You just see the whole production behind that side of the UFC. And I have to say this about the UFC, like, the people that work for the UFC are the coolest, best people in the world. From everybody I've ever experienced, they hire awesome people in the UFC. I don't know what their process or their hiring process is, but they do a really good job. Just everybody is really good at their job. They're very professional. Just cool people. So yeah, I have not like the UFC was good. They treated me well. They treated me really good while I was in there. Just I could have got a couple better fights, I think. But other than that, man, that's on me. I don't hold that against them. They gave me the opportunity to fight in the UFC, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, man. No, that's cool. I get the same way. Um, and, the guys, they don't think it's anything special, but I do. When I get to go see these National Guard guys do their thing and training and with the new guys and do the assessments, I'm like I'm like a little kid for a few minutes. I'm like, "This is so cool. This is so cool. I can't believe I'm here." And I'm like, I know I'm a Green Beret. I know it's still cool to see the process, to see it all, and that's cool for me. You gotta have something. You gotta appreciate something, and then and when you get to see it, you're like, "This is fucking cool," and I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad get to see this portion of things. And it's just like with this, right? I get to meet so many people and I get to just sit
Yeah.
down and have a conversation with them. And now, as I say with everybody, you know me and I know you. And if there's any way we can work together in the future, if I'm out in the Northeast, be like, let's go. Let's go run
Please hit me up, bro. Hit me up.
yeah,
Let me know. I'll come do you come do a dev session with me. We do some training with the kids or something like that. If you're ever out here, please come down to mom's basement. Please hit me up if you're ever out here. And same thing with me. If I'm out there, I'll definitely let you know. So,
yeah,
dude, I'd love to
hopefully.
meet up with you, bro.
Hopefully, eventually, this whole thing becomes, this monster but that's how big can it get? One guy, right? How big? I don't know how big can it get. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. Like I said, today I said, I'm going to do all the PT tests and rank them. That nobody's got that on the internet. I'm going to do that. So we'll do that. I got all these little things, notes on my pad there of stuff that I can't find content on. I'm going to do them all because then they're all ridiculous. Like the next one up is I'm gonna do a body weight mile. I'm gonna carry 240 pounds and see how fast I can run a mile.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, but nobody's got it in their videos yet. So I'm gonna.
What are you gonna ruck? Are you gonna ruck it or are you gonna drag it? What are you gonna
I,
do?
th- I think I'm gonna squat safety bar it. I'm gonna get a squat safety bar,
Wow,
load it up, and go for a 4 lap run and see. Yeah. Um,
that's crazy. That's
I
gnarly.
just think of ridiculous stuff, right? Because my little fitness focus is pushing strength as fast as I can. So
Yep.
I get to a certain strength level. There's there's a point of diminishing returns where it's so much work to get a little bit stronger. So we're pushing that, edging that up. So now we're heavy on the cardio. I I'm in I'm in the pool 7 days a week now. So
Do you run or are you
I
just you
do.
doing mostly
I
swimming?
run 3 days a week. Either a hard swim or a recovery swim. But most of the cardiovascular work is in the pool so I can recover. And then I
Yep.
run so that I'm able to run on the treadmill and I can just crank the fuck out of that thing to force me from not
Yep.
slowing down. So I'll do that.
That's
And
what
then,
I did. I did most of my training for the pipeline, kind of not knowing I was gonna get into the pipeline, but I used to run mostly is on the treadmill. I feel like people sleep on the treadmill, running on the treadmill because you, like you said, you just push that button, you keep that pace, and you just keep on going. You can run and just like don't let yourself like I know what my distance, I just don't let myself go back, and I just keep on pushing that button. I feel like people sleep on and building good cardio on the treadmill.
it's the most bang for my buck because I'm only training to run. I'm training to run a 5 minute mile. So
That's
I,
that's impressive.
I, I don't know if I'll get there, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try and get there.
What are you at right now?
I haven't tested it in a while. I don't know. I don't know. I should go out and do it. I mean, it's so cold outside, you know.
Yeah,
I'm like
it
I
does
want
suck.
to be nice and warm in my bed, but I missed. So we'll get out and run a mile, and I'll run some more on the treadmill. But fuck, man. All right. So you got all this stuff going on. You got Mom's Basement, MMA. You got the Fire Academy. You're working with T3I. What
Yep.
does all of these opportunities look like going forward? Where do you want them to go?
I just want to keep where I'm at. I want my gym to grow. Is the like I think my biggest thing is get out of my mom's basement. um, I think just make it through my training to be a firefighter and hold on to that. I mean, I'm still in the earliest stages, kind of all these things. I got them going. They're not, I haven't falls all the way through with a couple of them. And that's it, man. So I want to keep my job at T3I. I love what I do just because of how it keeps me connected to the community and do and it kind of keeps like for me it's the training guys is like I'm a I like to kind of lead from the front kind of guy. If anytime I'm going to make kids do something, I'm going to do it with them to prove to them, to show them that, what it looks like. I don't like just telling people to do and walking away. I'm not that kind of person. I always hated that. So that's what I do when I do my workouts generally is I just kind of do it with my guys or show them that I can do it as well. And so I was gonna keep doing that. And I just gotta follow through with this gym and that's gonna be nerve wracking for me, getting out and actually running my gym back into a regular, a real spot. And that shows a lot more mountains to climb with all that stuff, man. I've done it a little bit, but there's definitely I could do it better my next time. And you know what I mean? That's one thing I've learned. Yeah, I think you just got to keep reattempting things over and over and over again and figuring out to make it work. Just not
Uh,
quitting is the biggest thing.
I don't have any advice for you on the gym though, but one of my guests, Randy McAway, Green Beret, and he's just celebrated 20 years at Gracie Jiu Jitsu Athens. Um, so
Awesome.
if you if you want me to introduce him to him and any advice that may be applicable, at least you guys will have a network. I don't know how it works with you guys with networking and things like that, but he's a wealth of
Everything helps, man.
information.
Everything helps. I appreciate that. Everything
Yeah,
helps, man.
absolutely. In fact, that's the best part of the thing is knowing people that I can see in the spider web, and I like these two people need to know each other. That's the most fun for me. But fuck, man, I really appreciate you coming on. You got anything for me?
I got nothing, man. Thank you so much for having me on. Dude, it's been awesome. It's good stuff. This is a good podcast for me. Like, I'm kind of on the other side of from my fight career to now. Like my fight career, everything was always strictly like I almost had to be a different person. Like how I talked about getting ready for my fights. Like all the questions are always directed about what am I gonna do in my fight and all this stuff. So like now I can just like be a regular guy and
Yeah.
talk to you and show you my perspectives and all that stuff. So it feels like pretty refreshing. I feel like, this is my first podcast that I can just not be a regular person and talk to somebody about it. So it's been really cool. So thank you so much for having me on, dude. Yeah,
That
like if
is
you have any other people like this, I love to get on and connect. And like same thing with me. If I can help you out in any way, I definitely try to connect you as well. One thing I think about the podcast community is really good, and I see these guys like the Joe Rogans and all those guys is they all go on each other's podcasts, and it's good for everybody. You know what I mean? It changes. So they like if I can help you out, try to talk to the ones ready guys. I'm gonna try to do that or whatever. And I feel like you can get on other people's podcasts. I feel like that's the best way to grow. Your podcast, get on other military Green
I
Beret podcasts and grow the
I don't
community.
know. I don't know if I've said a few times, the more I do the show, I don't feel like the show is the way forward. I think the show is going to always be the center of lesser known operators. That's what's going to get me. I meet my friend. I develop actual relationships with my friends. We have these great conversations, but the social media, I'm kind of liking that. I'm kind of liking what I'm doing there. I like making my posts. I like having my reach and it gets bigger and bigger. And my fitness, oh my God, I'm getting it to a point where I never thought I would get to. I never thought I'd be this strong and fit. And then you go, ah, it's time to show off. Okay, let's show off. Let's show off a bit. Ooh, that did pretty good. That got us some more followers. So the show and it's all going to go together. So now I was just talking to my wife. I was like, you know, because I see my numbers. They spiked up and then they flattened out and they're pretty low. But a lot of people
Yeah.
listen to the show, but it's over a long span. So I go, I think as not cliched as what's the word, but I forget. But I kind of just need to get famous and because
It'll happen.
I tell people I said the product your problem is not your product, your problem is not your art, your problem is not your training program, it's not this, it's that nobody knows who you are. So if I have a great show and nobody knows who I am, then how are they going to find my show? So you got to build all these things, and I'm starting to see the plan of going forward, and the whole lesser known operators is about everybody else. So there's a lot of people with cool stories, and I want to be able to tell their stories. And with the good things that I see from the National Guard and everybody else, they're doing the right thing that nobody's ever heard of. Um, that's kind of what it's all about. And I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and I meet some really cool people.
That's
It's
badass.
a lot of. Oh, I got some. It's gonna be a fun ride, and we've only been open for business for just shy of 11 months. So whatever, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. How can everybody find you on the socials if they so choose?
So, you can find me on my Instagram is the one I probably use the most is, Connor, Matthews. Was that is it Connor Dar Matthews there? Let me look it. Connor Matthews dot UFC, I believe it is.
Okay.
There might be another dot in there. Yeah, Connor Matthews dot UFC. You can find me on my Instagram. That's basically I'm not a TikTok guy. I don't really do TikTok. Um, my gym is called Mom's Basement MMA. If you guys want to go on there, and I post on that quite a bit as well. I got some guys coming up, some new. Right now, I got a lot of newer guys coming up training, so not too many fighters yet. I got one or two fighters that I've been training that like 1-0, 2-0 fighters, so they're young amateurs. So, you guys, if anybody wants to follow their careers as well, I'd appreciate that as well. And yeah, man, that's basically all. That's all I got, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll take us right back into the lobby here. I really appreciate you coming on. It was an honor.
Thank
And
you,
as
bro.
I say, I know you now and you know me. Well, bye, everybody.